Chapter 2974. The Japanese had no other choice now. No matter what the others said, no matter how much the Baldy in front of him didn't want to stay with those black people, he could only do this. There was no other choice. The Japanese Baldy walked helplessly to the trunk of the truck. He even hung the gun in his hand in front of his chest to be ready. The other Japanese also prepared the weapons in their hands, as if they were ready to suppress the other party's resistance at any time. This was obviously a sign of guilt. People would always worry about retribution when they made a mistake. Everyone was the same. Even if these Japanese were shameless and despicable, they would still worry about retribution. It wasn't that they weren't afraid, it was just that they were too evil. The moment the Japanese Baldy opened the trunk door, he was completely dumbfounded. There was no one in the trunk of the truck. One had to know that he saw those people being sent to the truck one by one. And when he opened the door just now, there was nothing unusual with the trunk door. The Japanese Baldy's sudden silence made the others speed up their pace out of curiosity. They thought that something small like someone died in the truck. But when they saw the empty trunk, they were as dumbfounded as the Baldy. "What's wrong?" The Japanese Baldy stared. "What are you all waiting for? Hurry up and start working." Gone. Not a single person left. When the Japanese Baldy said this, even he couldn't believe it. It was too exaggerated. The Japanese Baldy's face turned green. He immediately rushed to the back. But all he could see was emptiness. How is this possible? The Japanese Baldy couldn't believe it. They ran away. There's nothing wrong with the door at all. The Japanese Baldy explained in a panic. If there's nothing wrong, how can they run away? Let me tell you, no one in this world can disappear into thin air. The Japanese Baldy stared and said, "What are you waiting for? Chase after them immediately." The Japanese Baldy was very sure that the people must have escaped when the truck collided. No matter how he explained it, no matter what happened, it was definitely because of this. It was definitely not a supernatural event. "Chase! Do you all hear me?" The Japanese Baldy roared. In fact, those children didn't run too far. It had only been a few minutes. After all, children were children. They didn't have that much strength. If they really let these Japanese devils chase after them, there would definitely be children who would suffer. At that moment, Su-yun suddenly walked to the side of the car that had rear-ended the culprit's car. With a snap, he removed the car door. That's right, it was removed. The commotion was so loud that all the Japanese behind the boxes heard it. They all wanted to run over. However, as soon as they poked their heads out, the car door in Su-yun's hand flew towards them. Just like Captain America's pentagram shield, it flew over and directly smashed the Japanese at the front of the group of nimble legs onto the ground. His skull was cracked open. The car door was heavy enough. Coupled with Su-yun's strength, it would be strange if he didn't smash that bastard to death. After killing one of the Japanese, the other Japanese quickly raised their weapons and took out their weapons. Da. After a series of shots, these Japanese didn't even see Su-yun's shadow. Su-yun didn't intend to show mercy to these bastards. He was obviously here to harm people. Since that was the case, he wouldn't be polite and would send away as many as he could. The King of Hell in this mainland was probably even more ruthless than the King of Hell in Asia. Especially when facing invaders like them, he would definitely be even more vicious. Everyone, be on guard. We definitely can't let that guy escape. The Japanese man screamed at the top of his lungs. He knew that this person was definitely the one who caused the serious car accident. At that moment, Su-yun was already standing on top of the car. The darkness left no trace of his shadow, so these Japanese didn't see him at all. Su-yun looked down at them from above, and in his hand was a baton that he took out from the car in front. When he was saving those children just now, Su-yun saw the bruises on some of the children's bodies. It was obvious that they were beaten by this baton. This thing was the weapon these Japanese used to suppress them. They wouldn't kill them, but they would hit them. Su-yun suddenly gripped the baton in his hand tightly and thought to himself, "Since you used this thing to suppress them, I'll use this thing to teach you a lesson and let you know how powerful this thing is." "Where is he?" The Japanese man and his subordinates looked around but couldn't find Su Yun. Su Yun suddenly sneered. "Your father is here." This voice made all the Japanese raise the submachine guns in their hands. At that moment, Su Yun suddenly jumped up high. Using his acceleration and the force of his fall, he stretched his arm that was holding the baton to an unbelievable extent. It was also at this moment that the Japanese started firing their guns. But Su Yun's speed was too fast. All of their bullets were shot into the sky. Su Yun had already smashed the baton into the Japanese man's face. This strike was too ruthless. Su Yun hadn't done such a ruthless thing in a long time. With this strike, the Japanese man's head was split open. His entire skull was split open from the middle. He was dead. The moment Su Yun attacked, he didn't intend to let him live. Facing such a devil, Su Yun would never be merciful. Since these people didn't respect the law and human rights, what reason did he have to let them live? As the saying goes, a group of dragons will naturally fall into chaos without a leader. To catch the bandits, one must first catch the king. The moment the Japanese man fell to the ground, these Japanese really lost their unity. Now, only 3 of them were left with their limbs intact. The rest were injured because of the car accident. As long as Su Yun was nimble, the battle would end very quickly. At this moment, gunshots rang out again and Su Yun's figure disappeared into the darkness once again. When Su Yun appeared again, the little baldy from Japan was also crippled. He didn't even know when Su Yun appeared behind him. He swung the baton and strangled his neck. He couldn't even make a sound. In a moment of desperation, the weapon in the little baldy's hand misfired and he killed one of his own. When the others reacted and started shooting, the little baldy was used as a human shield by Su Yun. The little baldy might never believe that he would die in the hands of his own people. However, the truth was the truth. The little baldy looked at the bloody muzzle on his body and knelt down without saying a word. The remaining defeated soldiers were finished very quickly. A defeated army was like a landslide. This saying was not wrong at all. After taking care of the lives of these devils, Su Yun sat on the hood of the first car and took out a cigarette from his pocket. In the dark night, a spark flickered. Now, all Su Yun could do was pray for the children who had escaped. He hoped that they wouldn't have to go through such painful things again. Many ordinary people in Huaxia complained about the unfairness of life. They complained about why they didn't have a good fate as the nation's husband and the entertainment industry secretary of discipline, Wang Tsong. They complained about why they weren't Uncle Ali's son. In fact, they should really be glad that they weren't born on this continent. Su Yun continued smoking. He couldn't understand what the children on this continent had done in their previous lives. God was actually punishing them like this. King God. Su Yun couldn't help but curse. Chapter 2975. Before Su Yun could even light a cigarette, the stoic man, Wang Wen, had arrived at the scene. The road was a mess. The moment Wang Wen got out of the car, he loaded the pistol and unlocked the safety. However, in this darkness, even a world-class shooting champion would definitely be affected. Wang Wen only saw Su Yun sitting on the front of the car in the darkness. The rest of the Japanese were lying on the ground. It was a tragic sight. This was the reason why Su Yun let the children escape by the side roads. They would definitely meet Wang Wen if they took the main road. Su Yun knew that he would definitely come and report this matter to the boss. This was no longer a small matter. In the 2 years since Wang Wen came to Africa, he had seen all kinds of shocking things. However, this was definitely the most shocking thing in history. He couldn't imagine how Su Yun did it. How did these Japanese get into a car accident? Were all of them bumping into each other? Were they all idiots? Obviously, this was impossible. Su Yun must have used some incredible means to cause all this. What did you do? Wang Wen walked in front of Su Yun in surprise and asked in confusion. Su Yun pointed at the Japanese lying on the ground. Nothing much. I just destroyed this group of people. They hurt our people. It's only right that I destroy them. These words came out of Su Yun's mouth as simple as smoking a cigarette. I'm asking you how you did it. Wang Wen said. You did it alone? You killed all of them. They even had weapons in their hands, but you didn't even have a pistol. Su Yun glanced at Wang Wen and said disdainfully, Do I need a pistol to deal with these idiots? Even if you don't need a pistol to deal with them, how did you cause all these accidents when you don't even have a pistol? Wang Wen couldn't imagine it. Su Yun shrugged. It's still the same sentence. They're too stupid. I'm crying because of their stupidity. You're really... Wang Wen suddenly thought of something and quickly ran to the container. There was no one inside. Wang Wen was a little angry. Where are they? Why did you let them all go? Don't talk nonsense without evidence. Who said I let them go? Su Yun. When I came here, there was no one here. Perhaps this is just a pretense to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Those people might have already been swapped by the Japanese. Impossible. It's impossible for them to do it in such a short time. Wang Wen was very sure that those people were definitely let go by Su Yun. How do you think they did it? Su Yun didn't even look at him. Facial paralysis. I noticed that you have a lot of expressions today, and you talk a lot. King said that there was no one left since I arrived. How would I know how they did it? Are you crazy? I've already dealt with these bastards. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be able to see the shadows of these bastards. This was the first time Su Yun used such a tone to speak to Wang Wen. Wang Wen was stunned. Indeed, Su Yun was right. Let me tell you, don't think that just because you're old in front of the boss, you can challenge me. Su Yun, I'm also doing things for money. You're also doing things for money. You're not superior to me. Even though Wang Wen felt that he was being violated, he didn't dare to say anything. Su Yun was able to catch up with these people and deal with them in such a short time. He wasn't someone that Wang Wen could mess with. Okay, the boss will naturally make a judgment. Wang Wen took a deep breath. It's good that you know. Su Yun, this was a mistake made by your people. Those people weren't taken from my hands. They were taken from your people. You can never blame it on me. You can explain it however you want. Wang Wen gritted his teeth and was speechless. Also, I caught up with them in time to recover all the losses. Su Yun, it's not difficult to find tens of thousands of pounds in cash in these Japanese's car, so you didn't lose anything. It's all because of me, understand? Wang Wen had no way to refute any of Su Yun's words. The rest of the things didn't require much skill. Su Yun, let your people clean up for you. I'll go back first. Wang Wen was startled. Where are you going? Of course I'm going back to the gold mine. Do you think I'll stay here to deal with this mess for you? Su Yun glared at Wang Wen. I've done enough. The money I got from the boss isn't enough for me to do this. After saying this, Su Yun left without looking back. The car was parked in the distance. Wang Wen didn't understand how he returned to the gold mine, nor did he know where the car went. It wasn't until Su Yun got into the car and started driving that Wang Wen vaguely saw the car's headlights. At this moment, Wang Wen fell into doubt again. How did this car accident happen? Even in the dark, Wang Wen observed carefully and saw a lot of faint brake marks. These marks made Wang Wen even more confused. Could it be that these Japanese were all idiots? Why did they brake for no reason? This was Africa. Even if they saw someone blocking the road in the middle of the night, they would still dare to crash into it. They wouldn't stop unless there was something they didn't dare to crash into. But there was nothing around here. Su Yun's headlights had completely disappeared into the darkness. Wang Wen really suspected that this guy knew witchcraft. It seemed that he had lived in this place for too long and had become a little ignorant. He actually began to use superstition to explain things that couldn't be explained. Wang Wen called his subordinates to rush over immediately. He began to search through the Japanese's car and found a total of 80,000 pounds in cash, some weapons and equipment, as well as other valuables. The value was no less than £100,000. Although it wasn't as valuable as the organs of 30 people, it was still a considerable amount of income. At least he didn't throw away £15,000 for nothing. Although this bit of money was nothing in Boss Lie's eyes, his wealth was accumulated bit by bit like this. The human trafficking business happened every few days. They even treated it as a business of volume. Su Yun was really busy that night. After driving back to Mali from the south of Guinea, the sky was already bright. He was so sleepy that he couldn't even open his eyes. The gold mine was all so quiet. If it wasn't for his car breaking the silence, the mercenaries would probably still be asleep. Su Yun got out of the car and started cursing, "You're all F***ing sleeping. If I'm here to rob the mine, I'll kill you all with a gun. Get the F***ing hell up." He only went out for one night and no one was on the night shift. These mercenaries were really unprofessional. He really didn't know what they did before he came. Zhu Ta was also awakened by Su Yun's cursing. He walked out of the room with the others. He wanted to ask Su Yun something, but Su Yun didn't even look at him and went back to his room. Su Yun treated him like a normal mercenary. But what could Zhu Ta say? He was already nothing. Unless he planned a riot, and seized the opportunity to kill Su Yun, he would never be able to make a comeback. Su Yun went back to his room and fell asleep. He didn't say anything to anyone. At this moment, he needed to sleep to forget the pitiful eyes of those children. Seeing that the sky was about to brighten, what would their fate be? Su Yun didn't dare to think about it, nor did he want to think about it. Chapter 2976. After Wang Wen dealt with everything, he didn't dare to report it to his boss. He waited until noon the next day before Lai Wen came looking for him. The first thing Lai Wen asked when he saw Wang Wen was, "How did it go?" Wang Wen told him the truth. "Those Japanese have been dealt with. It was Su Yun who did it. Those goods have already run away. I suspect that Su Yun let them go because I didn't ask you why. You don't have to rush to explain." Lai Wen glared at Wang Wen. "I just want to know in whose hands the goods were first lost. That's what I care about." Wang Wen lowered his head. "Boss, this is my mistake." Lai Wen didn't say much. He didn't care about one or two mistakes. He just didn't want Wang Wen to shirk the responsibility. "I found £80,000 in cash and some weapons in the Japanese's car," Wang Wen continued, "although I know it can't make up for your loss, but now is not the time to claim credit." Lai Wen once again interrupted Wang Wen's words. "Besides, this is not your credit, right?" Wang Wen sucked in a cold breath. He suddenly realized that he couldn't speak anymore. His boss's reaction seemed to be under Su Yun's control. That was why Su Yun dared to treat him so unscrupulously. When Wang Wen stopped talking, Lai Wen wasn't angry anymore. After a while, Lai Wen said, "If Su Yun wasn't there last night, what would you have done?" "I would have given up." Wang Wen didn't dare lie. Boss Lai was smart. If he lied, he wouldn't be able to escape. Lai Wen laughed. His laughter was cold, but he wasn't angry at Wang Wen. "Yes, you would have done that. You're too steady. You wouldn't let any danger grow." Wang Wen looked at Boss Lai carefully. He didn't know if Lai Wen was praising him or disappointed him. "Do you know what I'm most relieved about after working for you for so many years?" Lai Wen asked. Wang Wen shook his head. "No. I don't know. What I'm most assured about is your stability. This allows me to not worry about many things. Even if there are small losses, you can control them." Lai Wen said, "Although you won't find a way to make up for the losses, there are always ways to stop the losses." Wang Wen seemed to realize that there was more disappointment in his words. Lai Wen smiled again. "Of course, I need people like you by my side. If we are all impulsive people, if we don't have the ability to make up for the losses, it will instead increase the losses. Don't you think so?" Wang Wen nodded. That was indeed what he was thinking. Everything was under the premise of not increasing their losses. "That's your merit. This is also your shortcoming." Lai Wen said, but I don't need you to correct it, I need you to maintain it. Perhaps this was what it meant to make up for one's mistakes with merit. Boss. I'll try my best to make up for the losses while controlling them, Wang Wen said. Lai Wen laughed. You are more suitable to help me in this place. I need you to be stable so that I can be at ease in China. As for Su Yun, if I hand over everything here to him, I really can't be at ease. Wang Wen suddenly realized when he heard this. So this is what the boss meant. Originally, he promised to bring him back to China to work, but now it seems that he wants to keep him here and bring Su Yun back to work for him. Boss, you mean? Wang Wen asked tentatively. Lai Wen nodded. You are also a smart person. You can definitely understand. Wang Wen was a little disappointed, but he didn't dare to show it. I know that you are working hard. You must have unspeakable difficulties. Lai Wen said, I also know that you must want to return to China to work. After all, the environment here is too bad. Wang Wen took a deep breath. Yes, it is indeed too bad. But what can he say? Although the environment here is bad, it is suitable for you. Lai Wen said, no one is more suitable than you to stay here and deal with everything. Wang Wen nodded. Boss, don't worry. I will definitely do everything you ask me to do. You can rest assured. Sooner or later, I will let you go back. That day is not too far away. Lai Wen smiled. I believe that soon, everything here will go smoothly sooner or later. At that time, you can return to China. These were all empty promises. Wang Wen just listened and didn't take it seriously. Okay, you go ahead. I still have things to deal with. Lai Wen didn't mean to stay here. He had chosen to put more energy on Su Yun. After Wang Wen sent Boss Lai away, he was so angry that he almost smashed everything in his room. He had been in this damn place for more than 2 years. When will it end? He really didn't know how long he could hold on. He was almost unable to hold on. All of this was really too tiring. It was really too tiring. After Su Yun returned to the gold mine in the southwest of Mali, he had been sleeping. Anyway, there was nothing to do here. He got up at noon and went to the Chinese restaurant to eat. He drank 2 cups with the boss and then went back to sleep. Anyway, if Lai Wan and the others wanted to do something shady, they would do it at night. Su Yun had a lot of good time during the day, but it was all wasted by Su Yun. However, wasn't such a good time used to waste? Su Yun knew that he couldn't rush things now, so he calmed down. He believed that sooner or later, he would be able to make Lai Wan believe him. And all of this would be very fast. He might just need an opportunity, and everything would be solved. After drinking, Su Yun slept until the afternoon. When he opened his eyes, it was already dusk. The towers were angry with Su Yun, but they didn't dare to say anything. When Su Yun was sleeping, they were happy. When Su Yun woke up, they were restrained. Anyway, the towers wanted Su Yun to be able to sleep the most. Only when Su Yun was asleep could he find the feeling of being a boss. Although he was still the leader of the mercenaries, his status and prestige were not as good as before. Some of his subordinates were not so afraid of him. Instead, when they saw Su Yun, they were like mice seeing a cat. When Su Yun walked out of the room, someone brought a hot water bottle to Su Yun. They all knew that the Hua Xia people liked to drink tea, so they needed hot water. Su Yun didn't refuse. He waved his hand and motioned to send it to the room. This was a habit. When the towers saw this, they were unhappy. There was no way to describe it with words. Brother, why have you been so gloomy recently? Su Yun walked towards the various pagodas. Stay calm, do you understand? Don't be so narrow-minded. Otherwise, you will die early. The towers weren't in the mood to joke with Su Yun. They took a deep breath and said, I am not unhappy. I am just too tired recently. Su Yun laughed. It's not that you are too tired recently, but you were too relaxed in the past. That's why you feel that you are too tired recently, right? The various pagodas glanced at Su Yun and were actually speechless. Su Yun didn't talk much nonsense and went to other places to patrol. At this time, Lai Wen came. This time, Lai Wen sat in a Ford E350. In the case of a long-distance raid, such a nanny van was obviously more comfortable for him. When the car drove into the gold mine, the towers stood in a serious manner. Su Yun also turned around and looked over. He thought to himself that this grandson really had a lot of luxury cars. Chapter 2977. Lai Wen got out of the car with an inexplicable joy on his face. Su Yun went up to him at the right time. "President Lai, why are you here at this time?" "Su Yun, if you have any instructions, just get someone to inform me." "I came here specially to look for you. How can I just get someone to inform me?" Lai Wen smiled. "There are some things I want to hear from you personally." Su Yun also smiled. "You came because of what happened last night, right?" Lai Wen saw that Su Yun was so straightforward, so he didn't beat around the bush. He nodded and said, "Yes, I came because of what happened last night." "Su Yun, then what do you want to hear from me? Is it about why those people ran away?" Lai Wen shook his head. "That's not what I care about. I won't question you about why they ran away. Because it's not your fault. They were taken away by the Japanese from Wang Wen's men. That's all I need to know." Su Yun was startled. "But I think Wang Wen must have told you that I don't support human trafficking." "You're very honest." Lai Wen smiled. "Anyone who comes into contact with this kind of thing for the first time will not support it. Wang Wen was the same. I didn't accept it at first." Su Yun didn't believe this at all. How could a vampire have such a heart? "I know that you will ask me why I did it if I didn't support it," Lai Wen said, "because I know that even if I didn't do it, someone else would. This kind of thing will always be done in this place." Su Yun didn't say anything else. As long as one wanted to find an excuse, one could always find one. "I know that nothing I say is persuasive." Lai Wen laughed. "But I still want you to know that some things will never be changed." Su Yun couldn't help but say, "Then you decided to go with the flow?" "Since I can't change, I can only conform to society." Lai Wen said, "I believe you know very well that I want those people for their organs. After the removal operation, I can still guarantee that those people will be alive. But if they fall into the hands of others, they might even lose their lives." Su Yun furrowed his brows. Lai Wen continued, "For example, if they fall into the hands of those Japanese, they will even treat those people as delicacies on the dining table." "This is really inhumane," Su Yun said bluntly. "That's why I'm glad that those people escaped from the Japanese." Lai Wen didn't blame Su Yun at all. Even though he knew in his heart that these people must have been released by Su Yun, he absolutely did not have the intention to blame Su Yun. "Su Yun, actually, I've been thinking about this for a long time. If you guys are willing to do business with your own kind, what else are you afraid to do? As long as it's a profitable business, there's nothing I wouldn't dare to do." Lai Wen didn't hold back. "I'm not targeting anything, but this is an unchangeable situation. Then I don't want to do this kind of business either." "Su Yun, I just say what I have to say. I won't hide what I think. This is what I admire about you. I don't want to hear someone say something hypocritical to me." Lai Wen said, "I'm very happy that you said this. Su Yun, even if you're sure that those people were released by me, you won't." "I didn't say that I'm sure of this matter." Lai Wen said, "What I'm sure of is that those people were taken away by the Japanese. As for the rest, I don't care, and I don't want to care." Su Yun was silent for a while. "Then what do you want to hear from me? Don't you want to hear me talk about this problem?" Lai Wen shook his head. "No, I didn't come here to listen to you talk about this problem. I want to know how you did it. How did you deal with all those Japanese by yourself?" Su Yun was stunned. "You want to hear this?" "That's right. I only want to hear this." Lai Wen said, "I know. Although my people aren't that useful, they aren't idiots on the streets. They will do the right thing in the right way and won't be defeated so easily." "Then what do you mean?" Only if those Japanese have enough strength can they defeat my people and take them away. Lai Wen said very clearly. But you dealt with all the Japanese by yourself. Just based on this, I can be sure that you're not just a simple expert. Su Yun, I said from the start that I'm from the Special Forces. Lai Wen smiled. I'm afraid it's more than that. Even if it's more than that, those things are my past. They have nothing to do with the current me. Su Yun, I'm just a subordinate working under you. I'm very lucky to have a subordinate like you. Lai Wen said, so I'm curious how you did it. Su Yun explained casually, those Japanese might be difficult to deal with in the eyes of Wang Wen subordinates, but in my eyes, they're just rice buckets. It's that simple. Lai Wen nodded. If you don't want to say it, I won't force you. It's not that I don't want to say it, but there's nothing to say. Su Yun, catching up with them and defeating them is what I do. There's nothing special about it. Lai Wen gave a thumbs up. Maybe it's that simple for you. Su Yun, even so, I still don't want to participate in Boss Lai's business. Why? Lai Wen said, can you change the situation? You've already experienced it, and you know that even if I don't do this business, someone else will do it. There's no why. I can't change this situation, but I can refuse it myself. Su Yun, I'm afraid my life will be shortened. It's that simple. Lai Wen was startled. Are you implying that I will have a short life? Su Yun didn't answer. It could be considered a tacit agreement, but it could also be considered as ignoring him. All right, you can think of it however you want. Lai Wen said, this doesn't affect my appreciation of you. I still appreciate your talent very much. Do I need to say thank you? Of course not. Lai Wen laughed. You just need to tell me if you're still willing to help me. Since I've already done things for you, I won't give up halfway. It's just that I don't want to do things that violate human rights, and I don't want you to force me to do it, Su Yun said. Lai Wen nodded. Of course, I won't ask you to do it again. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. I won't force you. Su Yun glanced at Lai Wen. He didn't quite believe him. Not only will I not force you to do it, but I can even tell you who those Japanese are, Lai Wen said. I can even give you enough manpower to destroy those Japanese. Su Yun was stunned. Let's go. You find a place. We'll sit down and eat while we talk slowly, Lai Wen said. I believe I can let you do something you want to do. You want me to help you clean up your business competitors. Su Yun made it clear. Lai Wen shook his head. No, there are many competitors. Not only the Japanese, but also many Westerners. Then why do you want to do this? Su Yun asked. Find a place. Let's sit down and talk slowly, Lai Wen said. Su Yun thought for a while and agreed. He took Lai Wen directly to the Chinese restaurant that he often went to. Chapter 2978. When the restaurant owner saw that Su Yun brought people over, he knew that Lai Wen wasn't a simple person. Although he hadn't seen Lai Wen before, he was extremely polite. Hua Xia people were particular about face. They had to give enough face to people who were better than them. Only in this way could they be satisfied. Su Yun didn't care about these things. He and Lai Wen casually picked a single room and walked in. Brother, you can rest assured today. You don't have to worry about anything. Leave everything to me. The restaurant owner patted his chest and promised. Lai Wen smiled and said to Su Yun, as long as you are a talent, you can do well anywhere. Boss Lai is too kind. Su Yun, we are all Chinese outside. We should help each other. Ha ha ha. Lai Wen smiled and continued when he saw the restaurant owner leave. If you can't stand firm in this place, do you think these businessmen will still look up to you? Will they still take care of you and give you face? Su Yun didn't speak. He knew the reality of this society. It was the same everywhere. Lai Wen put away his smile. Then they won't. A waste in their eyes is useless. Face. Why should they give face to a useless person? Face is the most important thing for Huaxia people. Boss Lai is joking. Su Yun, this is really nothing. That's because you have the ability. Anyone who knows you will look up to you. No matter who it is, they are not blind. Lai Wen said, so you don't feel this way. So you think it's nothing. Su Yun just wanted to open the sky window now. Boss Lai asked me to come here today. There must be something you want to tell me. So urgent. Lai Wen said, at least drink 2 glasses first. Although I don't have much contact with Boss Lai, I can hear from your words that Boss Lai knows Huaxia culture. Su Yun, then you should also know that there is too much water on the table. Lai Wen was stunned. He didn't expect Su Yun to say such a thing. All right then, let's pick up the dry stuff and shake it dry. Lai Wen smiled. I just want to know one question now. Do you really want to stay in Africa for the rest of your life? Just to help me deal with the matters here? Su Yun's heart moved slightly. He realized what Lai Wen wanted to say. Of course I don't want to, but I have no other way out. This is my best choice. That's why I did it. The more Su Yun said this, the more Lai Wen felt that he was not lying. Because of his suspicious nature, this led to a problem. If Su Yun wanted to gain his trust, he had to pay attention to the skill of speaking. If Su Yun said that he was willing to stay here for half of his life, Lai Wen would definitely be suspicious. And if Su Yun said no, Lai Wen would also doubt his motives. Therefore, no matter what Su Yun said, Lai Wen would be suspicious. If he wanted Lai Wen to not find anything suspicious, he could only use a kind of speaking skill. It was to make him not know how to doubt. Su Yun directly told Lai Wen that he had no way out, so he had to stay even if he didn't want to. This was a kind of helplessness, not what he wanted. This was a person's truest state of mind, but often people in this situation didn't want to say such words. Su Yun saying this made Lai Wen feel that he was a real person. As for the real person, he would say such straightforward words. And Su Yun said that he was a soldier, which made Lai Wen feel more reasonable. This was the real reason why Lai Wen didn't doubt Su Yun from beginning to end. If it weren't for this, Lai Wen would have begun to doubt Su Yun and his motives. What if I give you a chance? Lai Wen asked tentatively. This sentence was definitely a test. Su Yun's answer would lead to 2 situations. One was to let Lai Wen continue to trust him and then bring him back to Huaxia. The other was to completely lose Lai Wen's previous trust in him and stay here forever without a chance to contact Lai Wen again. At this time, as long as Su Yun thought for a moment, Lai Wen would lose his trust in him. Lai Wen needed Su Yun to give him a quick and satisfactory answer. Only in this way could he determine whether he needed to completely trust Su Yun, put Su Yun in an important position, and give him a chance. Boss Lai has already given me a chance. I don't dare to ask for more. Su Yun's answer didn't give much thought. This was not only to thank Lai Wen, but also to express that he didn't have any other ambitions. Before asking this sentence, Lai Wen didn't have such a standard answer in his heart, but Su Yun gave him such a standard answer. This made Lai Wen, who was well prepared, feel a little unsure of how to continue asking. At this time, the restaurant owner began to serve the dishes. Su Yun opened a bottle of Kong House's treasury and poured wine for Lai Wen. Boss Lai, I thank you for your generosity. I didn't do anything. What is there for you to thank me for? Lai Wen said, do you really think this kind of environment is what you want? I'm a special forces soldier. I train in bad conditions all year round, so this is really nothing to me. It's quite good. Su Yun, if I say that I don't yearn for that kind of luxurious life, would you believe it? I don't believe it. Lai Wen's answer was very straightforward. In his mind, no one didn't yearn for a luxurious life. No one didn't want to enjoy the life of a rich person. In Huaxia, who didn't envy those rich people? Who didn't envy those rich people's second generation? How many people didn't question why they didn't reincarnate in Wang Wanda's family and become the nation's husband and the entertainment industry's secretary of discipline? How comfortable would that be? It's true. If I say so myself, I don't believe it. Su Yun smiled. He couldn't just let Lai Wen lead him by the nose. He had to figure out how he should answer Lai Wen's words in order to keep Lai Wen's trust in him. If I can give you that kind of luxurious life, you won't refuse, Lai Wen said. Su Yun was stunned for a moment. He pretended to be in a state of contemplation. After thinking for a while, he said, I might not, and I might. I'm not sure about this myself. Lai Wen smiled slightly. He also liked this answer very much. Then I want to know, if I give it to you now, how will you choose? In Africa, even if there is luxury, so what? I don't think so at all. Su Yun shook his head. I don't think it matters. I will refuse. Oh. Lai Wen didn't believe what Su Yun said. Su Yun smiled. Because I know that if I accept it, I will inevitably have to accept some of your conditions, and your conditions are very likely to let me do things that I don't want to do in my heart. You think too much, Lai Wen said. He was a little surprised that Su Yun would think like this. Maybe I think too much, but maybe I don't think too much. Su Yun smiled slightly. Once I accept the luxurious life you give me, I can no longer refuse. When you experience it and when you don't, your mentality is completely different. Lai Wen nodded. That's right. Before you experience it, maybe you still have the possibility to refuse. But after you really fall in love with that kind of life, you really don't want to refuse. So I will refuse now, Su Yun said. Lai Wen laughed. That's not necessarily true. Let's have a drink first. Let's not talk about this topic. Chapter 2979. After a few rounds of drinking, Lai Wen spoke more freely. Su Yun could see that he was not good at drinking. At least, this kind of 52-degree kongjia made him somewhat unable to control. But even so, Lai Wen still drank very freely. It seemed that only by drinking a few more glasses of wine could he speak without holding back. Su Yun, I'll give you this chance today. I'll let you leave this God-forsaken place with me. If you think that you haven't enjoyed that kind of luxurious life, so you don't know what it's like, I'll bring you to enjoy it today. I promise that you will want to leave that damn gold mine. If I leave, who will take care of the gold mine? Su Yun, the towers are not easy to deal with. He will definitely restore the order that belongs to him. F***ck the order. The gold mine is mine. If I want him to get out, I will make him get out. Lai Wen said, I didn't know that before. It was fine if he dared to run amok. Now that I know everything, if he still wants to run amok, then I can't tolerate him. Su Yun didn't know if it was the effect of the alcohol, but at least now it seemed that Lai Wen really couldn't bear the towers anymore. If it were anyone else, they probably wouldn't be able to endure it. After all, the boss was the boss. There was a limit to his patience. Let's go. Lai Wen suddenly got up. I will take you to see the most fun place in Africa today. Su Yun was stunned. Now? Of course now. Otherwise, when else? Lai Wen said, I want you to know what a luxurious life is today. Although Su Yun was not sure, he could basically guess what Lai Wen wanted to take him to do. It was nothing more than to experience some things that only rich people could experience and squander. In fact, as long as people have money, they can enjoy luxury anywhere, Lai Wen said. It's just that here will never be as colorful as Huaxia. Su Yun smiled. You want me to like a luxurious life, so that I can't leave you. Why did you leave me? Lai Wenye laughed a few times. You can give me what I need, and I can give you what you need. The two of us can completely complement each other. What you want to give me is not luxurious enjoyment, but a reason not to leave you. Su Yun, Boss Lai, am I right? There's nothing wrong with it at all. Lai Wen didn't deny it. I just want to give you such a reason. Su Yun didn't say anything, but he wasn't sure if he would accept it. You are only worth it if I think you are worth it. Lai Wen said, if I didn't think you were worth it, I wouldn't have given you this opportunity. All right. Su Yun knew in his heart that Lai Wen's dependence on him was even stronger than his. Lai Wen needed someone like Su Yun by his side. He was very clear about his current social status. Compared to some people with deep roots, Lai Wen was at best an upstart. As an upstart, although he had the social status he thought he had, he still couldn't be compared to those with deep roots. Those with deep roots often disdained to deal with Lai Wen. Lai Wen was also at a disadvantage in a lot of matters regarding face. It wasn't that he didn't have that kind of ability, but that although he had the ability, it wasn't enough to deal with it. Take the people around him for example. He didn't lack masters, but he urgently lacked masters like Su Yun. This kind of master for him could only be encountered and not sought. If Lai Wen could have a right-hand man like Su Yun by his side, then what would he be afraid of? No. Obviously, there wasn't a single one. He could even show off in front of those people. Even if they really turned hostile, he wouldn't be afraid. This was a state that Lai Wen urgently needed now. He wanted to make his status higher. This had been a burden for Lai Wen for a long time. It wasn't until today that he found that he had the opportunity to get rid of this burden. He had to seize this opportunity and make good use of it. This was a chance to change the status quo. Su Yun, I will make you a person above everyone. As long as you are willing to follow me, you will also have everything that I have. Lai Wen gave Su Yun such a promise. This was a promise that Wang Wen couldn't get even in his dreams. That depends on how much I can do for boss. If what I do isn't worthy of all this, I'm afraid I won't dare to accept it. Su Yun, but if what I do is worthy of all this, I won't give up the benefits that I have won. Okay, I will give you everything. Lai Wen nodded. From today onwards, I will give it to you. But today, you have to promise me one thing. Su Yun didn't answer, which was a tacit agreement. Get rid of all the Japanese who are snatching business from me. Lai Wen said, that's my condition. Su Yun nodded. Even if Lai Wen didn't have this condition, as long as Su Yun knew where those Japanese were, he would find a chance to kill them all. Those evil spirits who treated humans as food deserve to die. Su Yun and Lai Wen left the restaurant. Lai Wen didn't let Su Yun drive. Instead, he let his assistant drive for Su Yun. Su Yun went to sit in Lai Wen's car. This nanny van was indeed comfortable. It was much better than driving. After Lai Wen got in the car, he started to feel sleepy. He just told the driver a location and then closed his eyes to rest. Su Yun glanced at Lai Wen. He wasn't pretending. He really couldn't handle the alcohol. He only drank about 7 or 8 ounces and he couldn't drink anymore. Su Yun had drunk 20 of him at the table, and it was like he was his grandson. Seeing that the driver was about to make a long-distance raid, Su Yun also closed his eyes and lay down to rest. This was the same feeling as being in a first-class cabin. The car kept bumping on the road. Su Yun just lay quietly in the car and slept. He didn't know how long it took before the car stopped. Su Yun opened his eyes. He thought they had arrived at the destination, but he found that they were just stopping to refuel. It seemed that there was still a distance to go. Lai Wen slept really soundly. His trust in Su Yun was really good. If Su Yun slit his throat at this time, he wouldn't even have a chance to speak. If it weren't for Xia Qiuyu, Su Yun really wanted to kill this guy with a knife. Anyway, it was normal to do this kind of thing on this continent. Every day, people would die on this continent. Even people with power and money would be in danger. They could be drowned at any time. There wouldn't be any news on this continent even if Lai Wen died. It was a pity that the opportunity appeared, but Su Yun couldn't do it. This feeling was really unbearable. After refueling, the car went on the road again. Su Yun closed his eyes again. This time, he knew that if the driver didn't call them, he didn't need to see it at all. They would arrive at the destination sooner or later. It was more reliable to sleep now. Chapter 2980. The place that Lai Wen brought Su Yun to was definitely a place far enough away. The car not only drove for several hours on the road, but also boarded a ferry at the port and entered the ocean. After sailing for nearly an hour, the cargo ship docked with a luxurious large cruise ship. The rich people who had big business in Africa all knew this place. This was the famous paradise on sea. It could be said that this place only received the absolute high-end customers. After all, ordinary people couldn't afford to come here to play. If you want to enter this place, you must have a special cargo ship to send the car to the yacht. The service fee was quite high. Ordinary people might not even be able to afford this travel fee. Although some of these high-end places on the African continent wouldn't be supervised, this continent was far more chaotic than the ocean. Although there would occasionally be pirates on the sea, the firepower of this paradise on sea was far enough to kill the low-level pirates here. On the contrary, the large-scale armed forces on the land were more powerful, which would give the owner of this cruise ship a headache. This large cruise ship was really not simple. It had a total of 6 floors. Just by looking at the appearance, one could tell how luxurious the decoration was. There were many yachts and speedboats parked next to it. There were at least 20 to 30 of them. These speedboats and yachts were the bodyguards of this huge cruise ship. Once they found an unknown target to invade, they would use the fastest speed to surround and sink it. Thinking about the shabby armed pirates in this place, it was impossible for them to get close. Therefore, this place was definitely a safe place. Not only was it safe, but it was also very luxurious. The owner of this paradise on sea was the biggest local tyrant on the continent. As a friend, Lai Wen often came here to support. The total area here was close to 10,000 square meters. The first floor was 2,500 square meters, with a Chinese restaurant, a Western restaurant, a bar, and a few hundred square meters of sea garden. The second floor was close to 2,000 square meters, with luxurious private rooms, guest rooms, and presidential suites. It was super luxurious. The third floor was more than 1,500 square meters, with various sizes of meeting rooms, indoor tennis courts, badminton courts, indoor swimming pools, gymnasiums, and other facilities. The area of the fourth and fifth floors was almost the same as the area of the third floor. There were all kinds of cigar bars, tea rooms, coffee shops, saunas, baths, massages, luxury spas, and all kinds of things that you could imagine to enjoy. The area of the sixth floor was also over 1,000 square meters. It was definitely a super large rooftop. This cruise ship club could accommodate 4,000 to 5,000 people at the same time without any problem. There were more than 1,000 people working on this cruise ship. In fact, this place was also a place for all the tycoons to do business in Africa, to communicate and get to know each other. After all, relationships were the most important thing when one went out. If one didn't even have connections, wouldn't it be difficult to do business? Therefore, this was the place where high-end clubs existed. There were high-end clubs everywhere. Just in Huaxia alone, there were countless clubs. Although the cost was huge, the rich enjoyed it because this kind of place could make big deals. Take Beijing as an example. Among the clubhouses scattered all over the place, the famous 4 major clubhouses were well known to everyone. If the story of the private clubhouse in Beijing was the legend of the rich circle, if the private clubhouses in Beijing were in Beijing, then the 4 major clubhouses were definitely the climax of this legendary story. The Chong'an Club, located on the expensive Chong'an Street, had been covered with a gorgeous and mysterious veil since the day of its birth. Stepping through the door, the splendid fake throne room impressively entered the eyes. The expensive rosewood screen, decorations, and other collections were also the scenery that could be seen everywhere in the club. It was rumored that among the members of the Chong'an Club, government officials accounted for a large proportion, while the business members mostly came from traditional industries, including many well-known central and foreign executives. The self-proclaimed the richest club in Huaxia, the proudest thing of the Peking Club was that it had a 1-minute elevator to the 50th floor and a 360-degree floor-to-ceiling window that had a panoramic view of Beijing's beauty. When the Peking Club was first established, most of the members were foreigners. Now, the Chinese and foreign members were divided into half. They were all CEOs and people from the embassy. All the top management of foreign banks were loyal fans of the Huaxia Club. The club, located in the quiet Shilong Lane, was a typical Huaxia traditional building. Although it was only a short distance away from the bustling Xidan, it retained the silent and modeled original appearance of the 24 Sons of Kongxi precisely because of this unique Huaxia flavor. There was also the shortest established Club America. Su Yun had been to these places, so it wasn't that he hadn't seen luxury before. And this paradise on sea still shocked Su Yun. In addition to the dazzling diamonds and gold, the expensive Wangwali products were also comparable. Whether it was the Arab rich, the Western capitalists, or the big local tycoons of the Eastern Huaxia, they could find their favorite elements in this place. The designers here were definitely not simple. They could grasp the psychology of all kinds of rich people in how. It made any rich person with aesthetic feel that this place was designed for them. Lai Wen didn't know if it was because he was still a little sleepy in the car, but after boarding the cruise ship, he didn't speak to Su Yun. Su Yun didn't mean to talk much. He was very quiet. When Lai Wen's assistant showed the membership card, a special service staff immediately took them to the second floor. Lai Wen had a private room in this place all year round, so there was no need to say much. The three of them quickly came to the room. After Lai Wen's assistant arranged everything, Lai Wen waved his hand and signaled that he could leave. Lai Wen's assistant quickly left the room. He knew that he could enjoy the rest of the time as he wished. Those who could come to this cruise ship, even their assistants, would receive very good service and treatment. Su Yun sat on the huge leather sofa in the room, feeling the rich lights and furniture in the room. Lai Wen seemed to be still adapting to this kind of drowsiness. After all, it was already the middle of the night. The bumpiness along the way was really unbearable. The two of them sat in silence for about 10 minutes. Lai Wen then raised his hand and motioned Su Yun to go to the wine cabinet and get him a bottle of mineral water. Su Yun took the water and handed it to Lai Wen. He also opened a bottle and drank it. After drinking a few mouthfuls of water, Lai Wen seemed to come back to his senses and said faintly, "This place is indeed a good place, but every time I come, I have to take a long car and a boat. This is what I can't stand the most. I especially don't like to take boats." Su Yun smiled slightly. "Seasick? It seems to be a little." Lai Wen nodded, "But I can't help it. Who told this place to be so charming? If it wasn't for the charm of this place, I definitely wouldn't come. Even if they gave me money, I wouldn't be willing to come." After a pause, he said, "If there is a helicopter transport here, I might come a few more times. You can give your opinion, maybe they will agree." Su Yun said. Lai Wen laughed a few times. "Yes, why didn't I think of it? I'll tell them this time." Chapter 2981. After drinking half a bottle of water, Lai Wen seemed to have recovered. He went straight to the point and asked Su Yun, "What do you think of this place? Isn't it very good?" Su Yun nodded and did not deny it. "It's very luxurious." "Ha ha, this is the life of the rich." Lai Wen said, "Su Yun, if you can stay with me, you can enjoy everything I enjoy. I can take you to enjoy my life in Africa today." Su Yun did not speak and remained silent. He knew that Lai Wen wanted to use this performance to move him and tempt him with all this. "I know, all this is indeed not something that ordinary people can enjoy." Lai Wen smiled. "But I will let you enjoy it all. Let's go eat something first. I will show you that even in Africa, you can eat the best Chinese food. You can eat at this time." Su Yun was a little doubtful. After all, it was already late at night. Lai Wen snorted and said disdainfully, "Money can make the devil turn millstones, let alone a few chefs." Every chef in Paradise on Sea was top-notch. The food they made was not something that ordinary people could eat. These chefs were all hired at a ridiculously high price. Moreover, these people had not been working for long. The boss here would not let them work for too long. After all, the customers of Paradise on Sea were almost a fixed group of people. A chef's food could only be eaten for a year at most. There would never be an endless supply of good dishes. Therefore, the chefs here were basically signed once a year. However, the salary of a few £1,000,000 a year was not something that anyone could earn. Fake chefs who did not have real skills often faced very serious consequences. Lai Wen remembered very clearly that last year, there was a fake chef who made Western food. The food he made was scolded by the customers. because there was nothing special at all. It was just an ordinary steak, the kind that could be eaten at any high-end restaurant for a few $100s. Therefore, the hands of this fake chef were chopped off. A Chinese chef used the method of making bear paws to make a braised palm and sent it to the customers as an apology. Therefore, although there was a lot of money here, it was not so easy to earn. If he didn't have the ability, he would definitely die a horrible death. Let's go to the Chinese restaurant now. Lai Wen really didn't eat anything this afternoon. Although the owner of the small restaurant had asked the chef to do his best, the so-called specialty dishes he made were simply inferior to the swill of this place to Lai Wen. The Chinese restaurant in Paradise on the Sea was ridiculously extravagant. The restaurant consisted of a private room, a lounge, and a wing room, which was no different from the design of some big hotels. The pillars of the lounge were red, which symbolized happiness and good health. It was definitely the favorite color of Hua Xia people. The door was made of Hua Xia's traditional wooden doors and windows. The wood made people feel natural and intimate. The gray paint was low-key, and the black painted glass gave people a modern feeling. The hall of the Chinese restaurant was relatively spacious and had 3 doors. The 3 doors were side by side. The middle door was larger and there was a small door on each side. Entering the hall through the door in the middle of the hall, it was as if a monarch had descended upon a city. Everything in the hall suddenly opened up, with a panoramic view. Under the guidance of the service staff, Lai Wen and the others directly passed through the hall and entered the side room. This was where Lai Wen wanted to bring Su Yun. The design of the side room was unique. The walls were painted with oil paintings of natural scenery. Upon entering, one would feel as if they were in a natural environment. It was in line with the psychological characteristics of rich people who wanted to find a quiet and comfortable natural environment to rest while being busy. There were also calligraphy and paintings hanging to win the favor of Hua Xia culture lovers. Calligraphy and paintings were the broad essence of Hua Xia culture. The calligraphy and paintings all revealed the long history and continuous self-improvement of Hua Xia culture. Lai Wen's favorite thing was the decoration of this side room. Although he was not a refined and cultured person, he was also very fond of calligraphy and paintings. It seemed that any rich person from Hua Xia would have this hobby. When there was no lack of mansions and luxury cars, people often liked to spend millions or even tens of millions to show their unique taste. Even the chopsticks in this side room were gold and inlaid with diamonds. It was estimated that a pair of chopsticks would be worth a lot and could be exchanged for an ordinary family car. Lai Wen didn't ask Su Yun when he ordered the dishes. He believed that Su Yun certainly had not eaten these things. After quickly ordering the dishes, Lai Wen smiled and asked Su Yun, "Do you want to drink some?" "I'll listen to Boss Lai," Su Yun said. Lai Wen laughed. "That's good. Then let them bring some real good wine." Even in Hua Xia, there were not many national wine cellars that had been collected for decades, but this Ocean Paradise Cruise Club had them. 1 cup was enough for a well-off family in Hua Xia to earn for a year. The dishes began to be served soon after. The first dish was honey-roasted pig fillet with crispy long cowpeas. It looked simple, but the taste was absolutely memorable. The second dish was crab meat stewed with shark's fin. Just the fragrance was enough to make people salivate. It was followed by fried prawns, Kirin mandarin fish, and other delicacies. In the end, what surprised Su Yun was that he was actually served a braised pork roast. One must know that braised pork was a specialty of Yanjing. It originated from Nanhing Street in the south of Yanjing. It was said that during the Guangxu era, because dompa pork cooked with streaky pork was expensive, people replaced it with pig head meat and pig offal. After the spread of cooking experts among the people, over time, it became braised pork. Braised pork was cooked with braised pig intestines and pig lungs. Then, with fried tofu slices, blood tofu, marinade, and other auxiliary ingredients, the meat would be cooked thoroughly without being sticky, and the meat would be mushy without being ruined. This thing could definitely be considered as a street vendor's goods. However, the braised pork on this cruise ship was completely different from the taste of the street stalls in Yanjing. There weren't many native Yanjing people who didn't like this. However, after Su Yun tasted it, He lamented that the taste of the same thing through different hands was so different. Ha ha ha, how is the taste? Lai Wen smiled. He could hear the Yanjing flavor in Su Yun's voice, so he concluded that even if Su Yun wasn't from Yanjing, he had a deep relationship with Yanjing. Therefore, this dish could be said to be specially ordered by Lai Wen for Su Yun. Su Yun nodded. I really didn't expect to be able to eat this kind of thing in this kind of place. This is not on the same level as the braised pork that can be eaten in Yanjing. Lai Wen said, there are dozens of things that you can't see in it. That's why the taste is so unusual. Su Yun admitted, this chef is indeed not simple. He was hired with an annual salary of 5 million pounds. What level can he be? Lai Wen said proudly. However, this meal was probably more than a few 100,000, right? Su Yun didn't say much. Since it was such a bad *SS chef, then he would eat more. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the chance to eat in the future. Let's try Western food after we finish eating, Lai Wen said. Su Yun shook his head. I still prefer Chinese food. This is enough for me to remember. Ha ha ha, then you still don't know how to enjoy it. Lai Wen said, the Western food here is very good. You don't even have to do it. The steak is cut by the blonde and fed to you one bite at a time. Su Yun smiled, then I still prefer Chinese food. You mean to tell me that you really want to return to China? Lai Wen suddenly said such a sentence. Although Su Yun was a little surprised, he didn't answer. Whether Lai Wen would interpret it as acquiescence or not, Su Yun didn't intend to answer. Chapter 2982. Lai Wen saw that Su Yun didn't speak, so he didn't ask much. He said to himself, there is no one in the world who doesn't love to live in their hometown. If there is a chance, everyone wants to be an influential person in their hometown. Su Yun still didn't answer. He knew that Lai Wen had already made a judgment in his heart. The next arrangement was not something that Su Yun could control. Su Yun, you know, I also have a business in China. Lai Wen smiled. I don't know if you are interested. Boss Lai pays for it. I work. Whether I am interested or not, as long as it is the boss's order, I will not refuse. Su Yun added, the premise is that it is not against humanitarianism. Of course, I know your bottom line. Lai Wen said, what I want to ask is, do you know anything about the antique business? Su Yun shook his head. No. Oh. Then do you object to this business? Lai Wen smiled and continued to ask. Su Yun was stunned. This is a legitimate business. I have nothing to object to. Then you don't avoid the dead, ha 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 ha. Lai Wen said. Only then did Su Yun come to a realization. You mean, tomb raiding? I didn't say that. This is what you said. Lai Wen said, I won't do that kind of thing that damages my virtue. I just want to be an acquirer. If you are willing, you can go back with me and help me take care of this business. I don't know anything about searching for dragons and exploring their lair. Su Yun shook his head. If you really want to do this business, go to the famous third uncle to introduce you to some people. It is more reliable. Lai Wen shook his head. I said, I don't do those things. Su Yun thought that this old thing was quite good at pretending. It wasn't like he didn't hear from Ma San that Lai Wen relied on tomb raiding to make a fortune. After robbing a tomb with goods, he immediately made a fortune. Now he actually did this. That's right. This kind of thing is indeed detrimental to one's virtue. Su Yun thought to himself, since you don't want to admit it, then I'll humiliate you. I've always heard from the elders that digging up someone's ancestral grave is not something you can do. Once you do it, you won't even have the eyes on your back when you give birth. Lai Wen's expression was obviously a little ugly, but he didn't have a child, so he endured it in his heart. But when he thought about it, he couldn't leave behind a descendant in this lifetime. Perhaps it was because he had done this kind of thing too many times, so he suffered retribution. Although Lai Wen had washed his hands of the gold basin over the years and never did such a thing again, he had lost so much merit that it couldn't be made up for in a short time. Let's not talk about this any more. Lai Wen said, I'm not asking you to rob tombs. I just want you to help me with some antique transactions. If you can promise me this, I will bring you back to China. Su Yun did not immediately agree. Lai Wen said again, think about it first. Don't worry. After dinner, we'll go up to experience life. It won't be too late for you to make a decision then. Su Yun nodded. The one who was anxious now was Lai Wen, not him. He was already very confident in Lai Wen. Let's go. I'll show you what real enjoyment is. Lai Wen couldn't wait. Anyway, he didn't have any appetite. Lai Wen found a waiter and led them directly to the 5th floor of the cruise ship. There were all kinds of health care and all kinds of services. There was absolutely everything. White, yellow, and black girls of all kinds of skin colors were dazzling. All the girls were in their 20s, and each of them was very beautiful. Many of them were from Ukraine. Ukraine was full of beautiful girls with delicate faces, fair skin, and tall figures. Beautiful girls standing there were the most beautiful scenery. There were also girls from Latvia. Each of them could be described with the title of a book by teacher Mo Yen. There were blonde beauties from Sweden. They had smooth skin, angelic faces, and devilish figures. There were bold Lebanese girls with revealing short hair. They were called the most open Middle Eastern roses. They were sexy and hot, unlike most Arab girls in the Middle East, who were wrapped up tightly in black gauze. Of course, there were also beautiful girls from Huaxia and Japan. They were definitely more beautiful than those in hard disk movies. In Paradise on Sea, girls from Eastern Europe attracted more men's attention. The whole world knew that every year, international modeling companies from Europe, America, and Japan would send people to Siberia, east of Russia, through the world's longest Siberian railway, to find the next star of tomorrow. A large number of young girls living in Siberia had a mix of European and Oriental beauty. They also became the source of new faces for fashion supermodels in Paris, Milan, New York, and so on. Almost all the beautiful girls who appeared in magazines, TV shows, and Peanuts were selected from that place. All the prospective models were from Siberia. They had to go through strict measurements of various sizes and data. They would also be interviewed, photographed, and videotaped. Once they were done, they would be sent to a global modeling company. Many modeling companies would open modeling schools in Siberia. The students were as young as 4 or 5 years old. There, they would learn how to pose, how to eat, how to put on makeup, and so on. They would also preview in the local nightclubs so that they could be selected and become the next supermodel. However, not everyone could become a supermodel. Some people would fail the selection, and some would lose themselves in the world of entertainment. On this cruise ship, there were countless girls who had lost themselves. Almost every one of them had the potential to be a supermodel, but they had to work hard for the rich and abandon their dignity. Su Yun, do you know that there are massage technicians from all over the world here, and they are all professionals? It's not like those messy bathing centers or massage parlors. Here, if you want a woman, you can just say it. If you want to do healthcare, you can do it, Lai Wen said. Without waiting for Su Yun to answer, he said, but if you want both, then you can really enjoy it. Su Yun smiled. This kind of life was really decadent. I have enjoyed all the professional top massages here. The Thai massage is absolutely intense. I think you will definitely like it. Lai Wen laughed. Of course, there is also the gentle Japanese massage. Let the beautiful professional massage therapists kneel on your back and massage with their knees. It's so cool. No wonder this cruise ship needs to be so big. It is simply full of tricks. Su Yun said. Of course. Lai Wen said, but when it comes to healthcare, the Chinese massage of Huaxia pays attention to the acupuncture points. I think so too. Su Yun, who had a little knowledge of Chinese medicine, certainly knew the importance of the acupuncture points. Lai Wen said again, in fact, the Hong Kong massage is not bad. The thumb presses, the back steps, and the oil. As long as the technician's fingers are soft enough, it is absolutely a heavenly enjoyment. Su Yun smiled slightly. Then what do you want to enjoy today, Boss Lai? A kind of massage that all the big stars in Hollywood like. The hot stone is matched with a special essential oil. The essential oil has to be mixed according to the individual's physique. Lai Wen said, I like this hot stone massage recently. I also recommend you to do it. Su Yun was not interested in this. He felt that no matter how many tricks there were, it was not as good as Chinese massage. Alright, there is also a massage called Body Fit. First, we will remove the dead skin all over your body. Then, with the essential oil, we will gently massage the legs, abdomen, and buttocks from the feet up. Finally, we will relax your back. Lai Wen said, the technician will communicate with you and apply different strength and techniques to the special parts of your body that are not smooth. You can choose one. Chapter 2983. Su Yun shook his head. I don't know. Boss Lai, please arrange it for me. Okay. Lai Wen said, I will arrange it for you. At this time, a waiter came up. It was a Chinese young man in his 30s. He smiled at Lai Wen. Obviously, he knew that this was a VIP. He smiled and said, Boss Lai, you are here again. Yes, I brought a friend. Today, I have to arrange it well. Arrange a hot stone massage for me and find a few girls. You know my standards. Lai Wen said. The young man smiled mysteriously. Boss Lai, it seems that you haven't met with our boss recently. Yes, I just went to your boss's house for a dinner party. Lai Wen said, but there were too many people. I didn't talk to him too much. If you talk more, you will know. After our boss went to Huaxia, he introduced a new massage method. The young man smiled mysteriously. Of course, Boss Lai must have experienced it, but he must not have experienced the improved version here. Lai Wen immediately became interested. What massage method? Silk feet. The young man said mysteriously. In fact, this thing was not rare in Huaxia. Any small broken county had this kind of shop. Of course, most of these things were places that sold dog meat under the sheep's head. Because there was nothing formal about this thing. Okay. Lai Wen said, Su Yun, let's experience this today. He immediately said to the young man, arrange a room for me. I want to be with my good brother. They started to call each other brothers. It seemed that Lai Wen really wanted to buy Su Yun's heart. It was said that there were 4 big iron in the world. They were going through windows together, carrying guns together, going to prostitutes together, and sharing the spoils together. Lai Wen and Su Yun had no chance to be classmates, and no chance to carry guns. Now, there were only 2 left. He really wanted to seize the opportunity. Soon, the young man arranged a very large room for them. There was a golden carpet and 2 super large double beds in the room. There were massage chairs, sofas, coffee tables, and some very expensive fruits. The young man asked Su Yun and Lai Wen to sit on the sofa. Then, he took out his tablet and found a list of photos of the technicians. On it was the height, weight, specialty, and so on. Lai Wen quickly chose one of the technicians. The young man told Lai Wen, if you like any project later, just tell the technician directly. Lai Wen didn't seem to be satisfied with just one, so he asked for a few more girls to accompany him. Seeing that Su Yun hadn't made a choice for a long time, Lai Wen was anxious. Why are you being so polite with me? You're already here. What's there to be afraid of as a man? Isn't it just enjoyment? I'll just use traditional Chinese massage, Su Yun said. I'm not used to these types of massage. The young man seemed to see that Su Yun wasn't coveting women, but someone who wanted real health care. He immediately recommended an old Chinese doctor to him. When he heard this old Chinese doctor, Lai Wen didn't say anything else. He praised, this old Chinese doctor really has good skills. He's blind, but he's very accurate in finding the acupuncture points. That's even better, Su Yun said. Then I'll listen to my brother. Lai Wen said to the young man. The young man immediately went to arrange it. Soon, the blind old Chinese doctor came and began to massage Su Yun. The female technician that Lai Wen wanted and some other service girls also came. A Huaxia girl was quite beautiful. She was tall and wore black pantyhose, very short hot pants, black high-heeled leather boots about 10 centimeters tall, and a very revealing tight top. Lai Wen smiled with satisfaction. Good, good, good. Come right away. The girl immediately took off her high heels and went to Lai Wen's bed. When she put on her slippers, the girl looked at Lai Wen and said, "Sir, would you like to smell my shoes?" Lai Wen was startled for a moment, but he agreed. Okay. The girl directly put the shoe in front of Lai Wen's face. Lai Wen then buried his head in the shoe and took a sniff. Rich people must be crazy to play around like this. Su Yun really did not understand what the F***ck was so good about it. A faint smell of perfume. The smell isn't very strong. Lai Wen actually made a judgment. Fortunately, Su Yun didn't eat too much just now. Otherwise, he would have vomited. Lai Wen looked at the girl on the bed and asked with a smile, "Where do you want to start? Can you help me take off my underwear first?" "Sir, don't worry. Let's take it one step at a time." The girl knew how to control the rhythm. At this time, the girls from various countries who were called by Lai Wen to serve them also began to pour tea and cut fruit for the two of them. Su Yun's massage wasn't much to say. It just depended on whether the old Chinese doctor's technique was stable, accurate, and ruthless enough. Lai Wen's service wasn't healthcare at all. It was just to satisfy some perverted psychology of people. The girl stood up and stood in front of Lai Wen. She lifted her foot and put it on Lai Wen's face, rubbing it slowly. On the one hand, she was taking care of Lai Wen's mood, rubbing it slowly and rhythmically. The girl called him sir, and made some sounds of enjoyment. This made Lai Wen feel that he wasn't insulted. Instead, he was respected. Later, the girl used the tip of her foot to press on Lai Wen's forehead. Basically, the weight of the whole body was on the tip of her foot. After pressing for a while, she said to Lai Wen, "Sir, turn your head to the left." Lai Wen was really obedient and immediately did as he was told. At this time, the girl used the tip of her foot to press on Lai Wen's temple. Her strength was very light. Then, she similarly pressed on Lai Wen's temple on the other side. After that, Lai Wen faced up again and watched the girl's next move. At this time, the girl finished the temple massage and the forehead press. She put her delicate foot on the bridge of Lai Wen's nose and patiently slid it a few times. Then, she put the tip of her foot to Lai Wen's nostrils and said softly, "Sir, do you smell anything?" Lai Wen squinted his eyes in enjoyment. "Your little foot is really too sweet." "Thank you, sir." The girl then used the tip of her foot to touch Lai Wen's lips. Along his lips, the toe of her foot slid gently. The other foot stepped on the sheet next to Lai Wen's head. The girl used the tip of her foot to repeatedly rub Lai Wen's lips. At the beginning, Lai Wen's lips were still closed, but the girl kept sliding on his lips. He didn't know what kind of magic this had. Lai Wen's lips actually opened a gap, and the girl's foot went in. Lai Wen greedily licked. Su Yun raised his head to take a look and almost vomited. What **king taste. It was really hard to fathom what rich people were thinking in their heads. The girl began to stuff her foot into Lai Wen's mouth more and more. In the end, she really couldn't stuff it in anymore. Then, she stopped. Su Yun estimated that half of her foot went into Lai Wen's mouth. **ck. There were really all kinds of birds in the forest. Lai Wen was usually high and mighty outside, but in this kind of place, he was really despicable to enjoy these things that made people speechless. Perhaps Lai Wen didn't know Su Yun's opinion of him at this moment. If he knew, he probably wouldn't do these things and let people see him as a joke. When the girl took her foot out of Lai Wen's mouth, it was completely wet. The girl directly took it off. Lai Wen sighed in enjoyment. "Brother, it's really a pity that you don't enjoy this. It's really **king cool. I have never felt so comfortable." Su Yun scolded in his heart, "You are really **king despicable." But he said, "Boss Lai, I really can't accept these high-level enjoyment of yours. You can slowly enjoy it by yourself." Chapter 2984. The girl looked at Su Yun. If she had to serve this handsome man, she would rather not receive money. Unfortunately, a normal handsome man like Su Yun didn't seem to have that kind of special hobby. Only an old man like Lai Wan would have these messy hobbies, so the girl really hadn't served a handsome man before. Sir, in fact, this is a kind of enjoyment. The girl said to Su Yun, if you don't mind, I will let you experience it after I serve Mr. Lai. Lai Wan also nodded, yes, you should experience it too. If you don't experience it, you really won't know this feeling of floating in the air. I mind. Su Yun didn't want to give face to the girl. He didn't even give face to Lai Wan. Lai Wan grinned, you still can't let go. When you come out with me a few more times in the future, you will definitely be able to let go. I'd better not let go. Su Yun laughed a few times. He wasn't that perverted. The girl saw that Su Yun wasn't the kind of person who could accept it, so she didn't waste any more time. She immediately started the next step of service for Lai Wen. The girl suddenly put one foot on Lai Wen's chest, and the other foot without stockings stepped on Lai Wen's palm. Slowly, the girl's foot moved forward and moved to Lai Wen's throat. She used a little force, and Lai Wen's face turned red. The girl pressed on his throat twice and asked Lai Wen, can you stand it, sir? Lai Wen almost went crazy. You are going to kill me. But the girl didn't stop, but suddenly increased the force. Quickly tell me if you can stand it, sir. Lai Wen almost couldn't breathe and almost suffocated to death. No. I can't. I can't. The girl gave up and suddenly said in a contemptuous tone, Humph, you have to know that you are just a pet under my feet. My feet decide your fate. Hearing the girl say this, Su Yun thought that it was troublesome. If Lai Wen got angry, wouldn't he directly kill this girl? Miraculously, Lai Wen didn't get angry. Instead, he acted like a slave and said, yes. Really? Su Yun had seen what a masochist was today. Could it be that people would become so perverted when they had money? Just how empty did Lai Wen's heart have to be become such a pervert? Soon, the girl's 2 feet stepped on Lai Wen's chest. Her 2 feet rubbed against Lai Wen's chest, one light and one heavy. It was very rhythmic. Lai Wen snorted in pleasure, and the girl began to belly dance on Lai Wen's stomach. This jump lasted for more than 10 minutes. It hurts, it really hurts. Lai Wen groaned, but he enjoyed it very much. Su Yun really wanted to know what kind of mentality he had to be able to endure this kind of thing. Next, the girl began to take off Lai Wen's pants. Then she did something that Su Yun couldn't bear to watch. He simply turned his head and closed his eyes. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. The blind old Chinese medicine doctor couldn't see anything, and he didn't speak. He just massaged Su Yun's acupoint seriously. The level of the old Chinese medicine doctor wasn't bad. At least, Su Yun felt that this level of masseuse could be placed in the entire Huaxia. Those who could come here to massage wouldn't be able to survive if they didn't have some skills. The old Chinese medicine doctor paid attention to the actual massage, and Lai Wen's perverted play was the perverted play of the rich people. In fact, Su Yun was also a rich person, but why couldn't he accept it? To put it bluntly, Su Yun's heart wasn't empty. He had pursuits, and people like Lai Wen had long lost their pursuits. People like Lai Wen didn't have spiritual pursuits. They only pursued money and material things. When they pursued these things to a point where they were just numbers, it was meaningless. At this time, they would feel infinite emptiness in their spirit because they had no spiritual pursuits. After a long time, people like Lai Wen would begin to be infatuated with these messy things. It seemed that only these things could make them feel spiritual stimulation, and then they would even be willing to be trampled under the feet of this girl. This girl was really not simple. She was the #1 queen of Yanjing's H silk. She came to Ocean Paradise because she was invited at a high price. Whether it was Oriental or Westerner, as long as they were spiritually empty rich people, they seemed to have this perverted need to enjoy being abused. Then she had a place to be used. Lai Wen was soon paralyzed by this girl. He never thought that he could enjoy life like this. After the girl finished serving Lai Wan, the old Chinese medicine doctor also finished massaging Su Yun. The two of them left one after the other. Su Yun stretched comfortably. Several waitresses immediately brought fruits and tea to Su Yun. Su Yun had just eaten a mouthful of lotus mist when someone brought a golden kiwi to his mouth. Before Su Yun could swallow it, a snow peach was brought to his mouth. At this time, Lai Wan also sat up and stretched his body comfortably. Su Yun, you didn't enjoy this with me. It's really a pity. You came for nothing this time. Next time we come, we'll let that girl serve you. She's really good. Su Yun smiled and didn't say anything. He didn't want to experience it even if they gave him money, let alone pay to enjoy it. Get me some pineapples, Lai Wan said to the girl beside him. Pineapples were a kind of wild strawberry from South America. They were once almost extinct. They looked very similar to strawberries, but the flesh was milky white and the surface was evenly distributed with small red dots. They had the same genetic makeup as strawberries, but they tasted surprisingly similar to pineapples. This kind of rare thing was what Lai Wan liked to eat. The two of them tasted the fruits under the service of a group of girls from different countries. Lai Wan looked at Su Yun with some surprise. You're so young, but you're not interested at all? It wasn't that Su Yun wasn't interested, but he wasn't perverted. He couldn't flirt with these girls in front of Lai Wan, and he couldn't do anything with the girls here. No matter what, I can stay awake. When I'm with the boss, I have to be ready to work for the boss at any time. Su Yun, so I can't lose my sense of propriety. Lai Wan gave him a thumbs up. Professional. You're really too professional. That's part of my job, Su Yun said. But I asked you to come today to enjoy and play. This place is very safe. You don't have to worry about me at all. Lai Wan said, there are so many girls. You can have whichever one you like, anytime, anywhere. You can do whatever you want. Really? Su Yun smiled but didn't say anything. They're here to serve us, Lai Wan said as he pulled a girl in front of him and touched her unceremoniously. They are toys. Su Yun nodded. Lai Wan was right. They had already become toys for money. It was a pity that Su Yun wasn't interested in these kinds of toys that could be bought with money. Moreover, these toys had been played by countless people. He had no interest at all. You're really a soldier nerd. You don't know how to enjoy life at all. Lai Wan shook his head helplessly. Forget it. I think you really lack experience. I'll take you to see more in the future. Then you can let go. Su Yun didn't deny it. Maybe. If he denied it, Lai Wan might not trust him. You're really disappointing today. I'm not interested anymore. Lai Wan looked at Su Yun with some resentment. Su Yun was speechless. You're not interested? You're so sweet even when you eat stinky feet. You're just like a sheep. Chapter 2985. Although Su Yun couldn't let go, Lai Wan didn't mean to be restrained at all. He unceremoniously showed his talent in playing with women in front of Su Yun. He took out all his martial arts. It was really full of tricks. Su Yun didn't have the mood to appreciate the fat pig eating cabbage. He just lay on the bed and closed his eyes to rest. However, he didn't refuse the fruits that the girls sent to his mouth. If he was too pretentious, it would make Lai Wan suspicious. It was a pity that the ears couldn't be closed like the eyes. Otherwise, Su Yun really wanted to close the ears directly. Out of sight, out of mind, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind, out of mind, out of mind. Now, in terms of sound, he had to endure the torture. Especially Lai Wan's pig-like groans. Su Yun felt his balls ache and his chrysanthemum tighten. It was really disgusting. He really didn't know what words to use to describe it. Su Yun could only be sure of one thing. This was definitely the most nauseating sound he had ever heard in his life. In this way, in this large luxury room, Lai Wan tossed around for more than an hour and completely lost his strength. Lai Wan, who was panting, waved his hand and asked all the girls to go to the bed to dance for him and Su Yun. Huff. Lai Wen let out a long sigh. Su Yun, if I had such a good body like yours, then it wouldn't be as simple as having fun every night. I would be a true man 7 times a night. Su Yun could also see that Lai Wen's body was really strenuous. He was still tossing around like this. Wasn't he afraid of overdrafting and dying early? I can't do it now. I can't even take medicine for the 3rd time. Lai Wen was a little depressed. So you must take advantage of the time when you have a good body to have fun and enjoy life. Thank you, Boss Lai, for reminding me. Su Yun, I also advise Boss Lai. If you continue like this, you will empty yourself sooner or later. Lai Wen shook his head disapprovingly. So what if he emptied himself? It was much better than the mental emptiness now. He could endure many things, but the only thing he couldn't endure was mental emptiness. The mental emptiness would drive him crazy. I don't want to either, but there's nothing I can do. Lai Wen said, I've pursued so much. Now that things have come to this, what else can I pursue? The only thing I can pursue is pleasure. Since Boss Lai already has enough wealth to last him several lifetimes, why is he still chasing after fame and fortune? Su Yun was quite curious about this matter. Do you know what it means to be insatiable? Lai Wen asked. Su Yun was startled. Of course I know. Since Boss Lai knows, why would he still do this? If you're greedy, you'll be harmed by your own desires. Yes, that's true. Lai Wen lowered his head and smiled. I'm also thinking, when will I be swallowed up by my own desires? Su Yun didn't understand what Lai Wen was trying to say. Forget it, let's not talk about it anymore. Perhaps one day, I will also suddenly come to a realization. At that time, I will stand aloof from worldly affairs. Lai Wen said, Su Yun, let's consider it as an agreement today. You prepare to return to China with me and help me manage my domestic business. I won't care about the gold mine anymore? Su Yun said. Lai Wen nodded. You don't have to care about the gold mine anymore. I will arrange for Wang Wan to take over. However, before you leave Africa, you still have to help me complete one thing. Is it about those Japanese? Su Yun said bluntly. Lai Wen didn't beat around the bush. That's right. It's about those Japanese. Those bastards. I've long disliked them. I've always given them face, but they actually didn't want it. Su Yun nodded. Give me the address and I'll help you settle the rest. Lai Wen smiled contentedly. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. As long as you cripple those Japanese, I will immediately bring you back to China. Boss Lai, I do want to return to China. However, I still want to say that I didn't help you get rid of those Japanese because I want to return to China, Su Yun said. Lai Wen was stunned. This is what you arranged for me. I took your money, so I have to help you, Su Yun said. Even if you don't bring me back to China, I will still get rid of those Japanese. Lai Wen slapped his thigh. Good. Well said. If I don't have any plans today, I want to have a quiet place to rest. Su Yun said. I wonder if Boss Lai will agree. You can rest here. I will go down. Lai Wen said. They will all stay here for you to order around. You can enjoy life to the fullest. I don't need these girls. Su Yun said. Boss Lai, you can take them away. Lai Wen laughed. I will naturally let those that I have used go. The ones beside you are all clean. I didn't touch them. Su Yun laughed dryly. That's not what I meant. If that's not what you meant, then let them stay. Even if you don't have any needs, you can ask them to massage your feet, rub your shoulders, pour tea, and cut fruits for you. Lai Wen said, with them around, you only need one order to do anything. Su Yun had no choice but to accept Lai Wen's kindness. Lai Wen laughed and put on his clothes and left. After Lai Wen left, the room became quiet. In such a big room with 2 big beds, Su Yun and 4 girls were left. A Hua Xia girl, a Japanese girl, an Eastern European girl, and a blonde Canadian mixed-blood girl. You don't have to worry about me. You can go, Su Yun said to the four of them. The girl told Su Yun, "We have been arranged to serve you for the whole night. If we go back now, we will definitely be punished for not meeting the customer's requirements." Su Yun was speechless. "Then tell your leader that I don't need it. You can serve whoever you want. I will give you a lot of money. Why are you so stubborn?" "I'm sorry, sir. We can't leave." The girls shook their heads. Su Yun had no choice. "Then go to that bed and sleep." "I'm very sleepy now. I just want to sleep." "One of you go and turn off the lights. The others do what they are supposed to do. By the way, no one snores. If anyone snores, get out immediately." After Su Yun finished speaking, he immediately lay down on the bed and went to sleep, completely treating those girls as air. These girls had never seen such a customer before. It was a miracle that there were no eccentric customers here, and Su Yun was even rarer. She was a type that didn't exist at all. The customer's words were God's instructions. They could only follow. No one disobeyed Su Yun. After turning off the lights, they all obediently climbed onto the bed. Su Yun didn't care about anything else. Who knew how far he would have to go to find trouble with those Japanese tomorrow? Now, he had to seize all the time he could to rest. Although it was a luxurious place, Su Yun still fell asleep. He had nothing to worry about. Sleeping here was even more peaceful than sleeping on the gold mine. When he slept on the gold mine, he had to be wary of the towers rioting in the middle of the night. At most, he was worried that these girls would take off his pants and play with his dick in the middle of the night. But now, it seemed that even if Su Yun gave them more courage, they wouldn't dare to do that. So Su Yun slept to his heart's content. Chapter 2986. In the morning, Su Yun was woken up by the girls from Paradise on Sea that had been arranged to serve him last night. Lai Wen was not in good spirits, so he slept very little. He woke up very early and felt bored eating breakfast alone, so he came to wake Su Yun up. Su Yun got up and looked at the time. It was only 7 o'clock. Lai Wen was still able to wake up so early last night. It was unbelievable. When Su Yun came out, Lai Wen smiled embarrassedly. "I'm sorry for disturbing your rest." "Boss Lai, you're treating me like an outsider," Su Yun said. "When are we leaving?" "There's no rush. Let's eat first." Lai Wen took Su Yun to eat breakfast. He had already asked someone to prepare breakfast. Early in the morning, they ate things like swallow, abalone, ginseng, and Buddha jumps over the wall. Su Yun felt like he had eaten too much. Lai Wen's broken body was not depleted even though he played like this every day. It was really thanks to these nutritious things. Otherwise, with his small body, he would have been crippled long ago. After breakfast, Lai Wen suddenly asked someone to prepare a pen for him. He then wrote a line on a piece of tissue. Lai Wen pushed the tissue to Su Yun. Su Yun took it and looked. It said, "South Sudan, Akbo." Su Yun thought for a moment. Although he was not familiar with South Sudan, he quickly searched the map in his mind. Akbo was the border between South Sudan and Ethiopia. South Sudan was a restless country. 2 years ago, soldiers from the Dinka and Nuer tribes in the Presidential Guard had a gunfight in the capital, Juba. This armed conflict was a coup d'état. The mastermind behind it was the vice president, but the vice president did not admit it. After the conflict, the vice president immediately fled to his hometown in Jonglei State in the north. A few days after the conflict, the general of the government army in the north, James Keane, announced that he had defected and sided with the vice president. South Sudan's leadership had internal conflicts, but on a deeper level, the country's officials were too inexperienced in governing. The influence of the tribes in the country was huge, and the government lacked control over the army. It would be strange if it wasn't chaotic. But it was not their fault. After all, South Sudan did not have any real contact with the outside world until the end of the 19th century. It was first colonized by the United Kingdom and Egypt, and then became part of Sudan. It had only been independent for a few years. but the vast majority of South Sudanese probably still don't know what independence means. This was a country where more than 90% of the population were illiterate. It was not a good thing for the tribe to have too much influence on the country. The people of South Sudan were usually loyal to their own tribe before the country. As for what role the tribe should play in the country, the South Sudanese did not have a consensus. When the country became independent, the first thing most South Sudanese thought about was the economic and political benefits that independence would bring to their tribes. Driven by this mentality, the struggle for power between the tribes was inevitable. A few tribes that had lost their power had embarked on the path of armed rebellion. The government had limited control over the army, and the complicated tribal situation was also reflected in the South Sudanese army. Soldiers from different tribes would fight with soldiers from other tribes for the benefit of their own tribe, but the government could not do anything about it. After the vice president betrayed the country, he had been at odds with the president. They fought within the country until even Ban Jiwin could not stand it and strongly condemned him. Although the president and vice president of South Sudan signed a ceasefire agreement, this thing was bullshit to them. No one implemented it, and the flames of war had never stopped in the country. In comparison, the security in Ethiopia was relatively stable. Although there had been incidents of Hwa-Sia citizens being kidnapped in Ethiopia a few years ago. But overall, it was much better than South Sudan. After all, there were refugees, and other unsafe factors. The specific residential areas and deserted streets were more dangerous. If the rich second generation of Hwa-Sia went to flaunt their wealth, they would definitely encounter trouble. The people in that place were not like the people in Hwa-Sia, who would lick the rich second generation whenever they saw them. They wanted to get some benefits from the rich second generation. However, the people here were not like that. They would directly rob the rich second generation. South Sudan's Akobo was located at the border between the two countries. It should not be the most chaotic place in South Sudan. The place where the Japanese are? Su Yun crumpled the tissue into a ball and threw it away. Lai Wen nodded. That's right. Boss Lai, when do you want me to take action? Su Yun continued. Take action today. Lai Wen said. Su Yun would need a whole day to set off from here to South Sudan's Akobo. Su Yun thought for a while. Take action when I arrive at night? I will arrange for someone to send you there. Lai Wen said, the Japanese have a deal there tonight. Su Yun nodded. He understood what Lai Wen meant. The Japanese had provoked him, and he had to teach them a lesson. Otherwise, how could they establish themselves in this continent in the future? Human trafficking again? Su Yun said. Lai Wen smiled. No, it's an arms deal. Su Yun frowned. These Japanese have such a big business here? Their business here is indeed quite big. Lai Wen nodded. But as long as we destroy their arms, they will be useless. Are we only going to cut off their arms deal, or are we going to wipe them out completely? Su Yun smiled. Lai Wen smiled but didn't say anything. He only gave Su Yun a look. This look explained everything. Su Yun understood what Lai Wen meant. Since he could completely destroy the Japanese, why would he only destroy their arms deal? Of course, he would destroy their nest. Lai Wen didn't say anything to give Su Yun a way out. If he really couldn't do it, Lai Wen didn't want Su Yun to take the risk. Destroying the Japanese's arms deal was equivalent to destroying them. Destroying their nest was just icing on the cake. Okay. I understand what I should do. Su Yun nodded. Boss Lai, just wait for my news. I believe you. Lai Wen said, but you still have to pay attention to your safety. The Japanese are insidious and cunning. Safety first. Su Yun really didn't care about these people. Not to mention the Japanese's unrated armed forces, even if it was the Japanese's Special Combat Group, Air Regiment, Marine Special Guards, and so on, Su Yun wouldn't care about them. Although Japan was a defeated country, in order to satisfy their self-defense and maintain the stability of the country and the safety of the people, they had also formed a group of special forces. The Special Combat Group was selected from the best of the best in the country's self-defense forces and mastered all the skills of special operations. The Marine Special Guards were also a special team formed based on the British SAS. The most famous one should be Japan's Central Response Group. It was formed by Japan to strengthen their defense of the Kyushu region and the islands of Okinawa. This special force had a total of 6,000 people. Most of the members were officers and officers. There were almost no ordinary members. Their combat quality and professional level were above these self-defense forces of Japan. Just from this point, one could see Japan's ambition. Su Yun had once fought with the Japanese Jing Group's troops on the high seas, and it was easy for him to beat them up. Chapter 2987. Su Yun did not hesitate at all. If this matter was resolved cleanly, Lai Wen would definitely bring him back to China immediately. Only by returning to China would he have the opportunity to help Xia Qiuyu. Although Su Yun was prepared for a long battle from the beginning, Lai Wen was a patient person and would not easily hurt Xia Qiuyu. That was why Su Yun dared to drag things out. Now that half a month had passed, Su Yun really could not stay in this place any longer. There were too many things in the huge African continent that he could not stand. However, most of the things here were not understood by the environment he lived in. Different environments led to different achievements. This saying was not wrong at all. Today, Su Yun could not stand anything in Africa because he grew up in Huaxia. Compared to this place, a society ruled by law was above heaven. Although there were still some messy things in a society ruled by law, after all, those dirty things could not be brought to the table. However, it was different in Africa. There was almost nothing that could not be brought to the table. No matter how ignorant this kind of thing was, no matter how shameful this kind of thing was, no matter how cruel this kind of thing was, it could still exist in the open. This was the horror of this place. This was what Su Yun could not stand. He could not change the status quo here. This was what Su Yun was most helpless about. If he was really given a chance, he really wanted to bring people to clean up this continent. He hoped to at least bring peace to this place. Even if the resources would still be plundered, as long as there was peace, it would be fine. However, all of this was impossible. Not to mention that Su Yun could not change it. Even Xiao Ao of the United States Empire could not restore peace to this place. Unless all the resources belonged to the United States Empire, and other countries did not interfere or take a share of the profits. Was this possible? The answer was obvious. The Mercedes-Benz G65 soared through the grasslands of Africa. Su Yun sat in the back with his eyes closed all the way. The person who drove Su Yun to South Sudan was a particularly talkative young man. It was one thing to be talkative, but he was a stutterer. Originally, Su Yun was sitting in the front passenger seat, admiring the scenery. However, this guy's machine gun-like mouth made him collapse. A machine gun was fine, but this machine gun would jam from time to time. This was the most intolerable thing. Just 2 hours ago. Faye. Africa, Su Yun said helplessly. He had helped him countless times along the way. Africa, big. Prairie. Su Yun rolled his eyes. Buffalo. The young man who was driving pointed at a herd of African buffalo in the distance and said excitedly. Su Yun cursed in his heart. If you can't even explain it clearly, then don't say it. If you saw it, then so be it. It's none of your business. Yun. Brother Yun. Do you know? Just call me brother. Su Yun was worried that he would suffocate himself to death, so he tried to make it easier for him to address him. Bro. It's big brother, not big brother. Su Yun felt like crying. Brother, no. African water buffalo is famous for being fierce. Even if it's a lion. If make way. Su Yun hurriedly stopped him. Brother, I've seen Animal World when I was young, so you don't have to teach me this basic knowledge. Listening to you is tiring and tiring. Can we stop? No, no, no problem. The young man smiled embarrassedly. Su-yun thought that he would really stop, but after only 10 minutes, this guy started again. Bro, you. Look. Zebra. Zebra. Oh my God. Su-yun was on the verge of tears. She slapped her forehead and said, How about this? You take a nap first. I'll drive myself. No, boss. Boss has orders. No, can't. Tire. You. Then shut your mouth. Listening to you is tiring. Su-yun felt like his lungs were about to explode. The young man was embarrassed again. But his embarrassment would never last more than 15 minutes. Brother. Big. Elephant. Damn. Su-yun completely broke down. Stop the car. I'm going to sleep in the back. If you disturb me again, I'll tell Boss Lai to sew your mouth shut when you get back. The young man reluctantly stopped the car. There were so many animals in the African grassland. It was not easy to pass by, so he was excited to see them. Su-yun insisted on sleeping in the back. Only then did the stuttering young man stop talking and disturb him. But Su-yun still heard him exclaim from time to time. Wah. Just like that, the young man did not stop the car other than refueling and panting. If he was thirsty, there was water in the car. If he was hungry, there was food in the car. Everything was available. There was no need for them to waste any more time. They had been driving for more than 10 hours without rest. The stuttering young man was really amazing. He was only relying on the fact that driving in Africa was more exciting. Otherwise, no one would be able to drive for so long. As the sky turned completely dark, the stuttering young man finally drove into a Kobo town according to the directions on the satellite map. The night here was really dark. There was no other light besides the headlights of the car. You know where those Japanese are? This was the first time Su-yun took the initiative to talk to the stuttering young man. Brother, do you know why I speak like this? Boss, do you still need me? The stuttering young man asked. Su-yun was stunned and shook his head. The stuttering young man pointed at his head. This. Here, good. If it's good, why are you stuttering? Get to the point. Do you know where the Japanese are? Su-yun did not know whether to laugh or cry. If it's good, why can't he answer such a simple question? My place. It's good so I came here once, so I remember the location. After the stuttering young man finished speaking, he was so stuttering that he turned red. Su-yun did not quite believe him. However, the stuttering young man was very confident. He used his fastest speed to get into his working mode. Even if the headlights were turned off, he could still figure out the small roads in a Kobo town. Su-yun suddenly felt that this guy was quite interesting. Not bad, he could even do this. Okay, I have faith in you. Su-yun smiled. You really have a specialty. That. The stuttering young man said, Who said that stuttering is useless? Su-yun shook his head helplessly again. This guy was quite arrogant. Just one sentence and he was already cocky. No one said that stuttering is useless. They said that scholars are useless. Su-yun, hurry up and find the place. Don't waste time. It's almost midnight. Don't worry, brother, they are all ling. We promise to send you there on time. Su-yun nodded. He did not have any other request. He just wanted the stuttering young man to shut up. Chapter 2988. Speaking of this small town in the northeast of South Sudan, it was founded by the British. Although Akobo was small, it was fertile land surrounded by 4 rivers. One of the rivers was called Akobo River, so it was named Akobo Town. The people here spoke Nuer language. Because of the long period of war and ethnic killings, most of the people living here were Nuer people. Although the town was not big, it even had an airport. However, other than the shabby airport, there was nothing else in the town that could be taken out. The 2-story houses were rare. Most of them were shabby mud houses, small and dirty. With only 10,000 people, they did not have much construction ability. Although this place was occupied by the British early on and the geographical location was very good, very fertile, the British did not turn this place into a rich place. However, even so, Akobo was a place full of laughter a long time ago. After the first civil war in Sudan, this place entered a dark period, and it was still like this today. During the Civil War, the villages around Akobo town were looted and razed to the ground. The people in Akobo ordered the burning of the villages, massacring the villagers and shooting the citizens without any weapons. A large number of residents fled to Ethiopia for protection. It was also at that time that the Enyak people began their tragic fate. They were often massacred by the Nuer people and slowly, this place became the world of the Nuer people. Until today, there were not many Enyak people living in this place. They all died under the organized massacres of the Nuer people. This was the history of a small town in a barren country in fertile Africa. This was what the people here had experienced. It was indeed pitiful, but also not pitiful. In any case, there were many things that could not be explained so easily. Thinking about the history of the Huaxia, there was also a dark history of massacres. After all, humans had experienced it step by step before they had a civilized society and knew that peace was not easy to come by. The car made a few turns in Akobo. Because he was afraid of being noticed, he turned off the lights and groped around in the dark. Relying on the car's domineering performance, he did not care if he encountered a big pit or a big platform. He could just step on the accelerator and go over. After searching in the dark for about 20 minutes, the stuttering young man finally stopped the car at a place. After stopping the car and turning off the engine, the stuttering young man's forehead was covered in cold sweat. "Brother, this is all I can do for you. As for the rest, it's all up to you. Why aren't you stuttering anymore?" Su Yun was stunned and looked at the stuttering youth in surprise. Wasn't his tongue good? "I don't stutter when I'm nervous," the stuttering young man said. "I'm really scared now. You're really a talent." Others stutter when they're nervous, but you don't stutter when you're nervous? Su Yun was speechless. "Why are you nervous? I didn't ask you to die." The stuttering young man pointed at the 3-story building 100 meters away. "Brother, that's the Japanese's arms trading point. Every month on this day, the Japanese in Africa will meet the Americans here to trade." Su Yun nodded. "Who in the United States is selling them arms?" "I'm not sure about that, but it's said that they're definitely not simple people. A simple small arms dealer can't get those advanced weapons at all." The stuttering young man did not stutter. "Some people also say that these arms dealers are supported by the American government." Su Yun smiled. It was not the first time that the Americans supported arms dealers. This was very normal. Some large-scale arms companies not only made guns and cannons for the Americans themselves, but also for people in other parts of the world who needed them. However, one thing was certain. The Americans always used the most advanced things. As long as there were arms produced in the United States, the Americans did not care about them. Not to mention other things, and regardless of whether the Americans were honest or not, they were indeed good in the military industry. The warlike races were all like this. There was no other way. "How much else do you know?" Su Yun asked. "For example, how many people do they have?" "I'm not sure about that, brother. But I know that their cars are parked on the west side of this building. This place is quite far from the airport. It's considered a more remote place in Akobo. They definitely have to drive here. The stuttering young man said, looking at how many cars they have, you should be able to roughly estimate how many people they have. All right, you know quite a lot, Su Yun said with a smile. Brother, this is really dangerous. You have to think carefully. The stuttering young man seemed to be quite concerned about Su Yun. Su Yun felt embarrassed. He had been scolding him on the way here. Since we're already here, we can't go back empty-handed, right? Su Yun said. The stuttering young man thought for a while. Brother, actually, even if you don't do anything, the boss won't do anything. Because he admires you too much now, he's very obedient to you. Su Yun, don't think of a boss like that. There's an old saying in Hua Xia, being with a king is like being with a tiger. The closer you are to your boss, the more careful you have to be. The stuttering young man nodded as if he understood this very well. Since the boss asked me to come here, he wants to get the result he wants. Su Yun, understand? The stuttering young man nodded again. Understood. If you can't even do this well, do you think the boss will continue to give you a chance no matter how much he admires you? Su Yun smiled. So, since you're here, you have to do this well. The stuttering young man seemed to be struggling. Brother, I have something to say. You won't look down on me, right? Question mark. Su Yun was stunned. I feel that the boss asked me to come here this time to be your scapegoat. If there's any trouble, I can be the one to be sacrificed. The stuttering young man said dejectedly, Actually, I know that the boss also dislikes me for not speaking clearly. Today, if I'm lucky, I'll go back alive. If I die, he doesn't care. He doesn't care who dies because he's the boss, Su Yun said. The stuttering young man was silent. But don't worry, you came here with me. Although we're not familiar with each other, since you called me brother so many times, I definitely won't leave you here. Su Yun smiled and patted the stuttering young man on the shoulder. The stuttering young man said with shame, I don't even dare to go with you. Even if you want to go, I won't let you go. You'll be a burden if you go. Su Yun, turn the car around and get ready at this location. Get ready when I tell you to come out. The stuttering young man looked at Su Yun in surprise. Su Yun's confidence surprised him. He had never seen a person with such a strong aura. This might be the first time in his life for the stuttering young man, but for Su Yun, it was a piece of cake. Going deep into the enemy's territory and executing the leader were all too easy. It was just a Japanese carrying an arms deal. There were all kinds of weapons inside. Su Yun looked at his watch. Estimated half an hour. I don't want to say that it's too fast. Who knows how many people are inside? If there are hundreds of people, half an hour might be a bit of a stretch. The stuttering young man was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. Other than admiration, all he felt was admiration. Brother, although I've admired many people in my life, the one I admire the most is you, the stuttering young man said. Su Yun didn't waste any more time. It was already midnight. He opened the door and jumped out of the car. When Su Yun's figure disappeared into the darkness, the stuttering young man slapped his forehead. Oh my God, the gun that the boss asked him to bring to Su Yun, he forgot to give it to him. What should he do? Chapter 2989. The stuttering young man took out 2 pistols and put them in front of him. His face was ugly. This was the boss's personal order. Su Yun's figure had now completely disappeared into the darkness. The stuttering young man swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He couldn't feel at ease at all. But to ask him to bring 2 pistols to support Su Yun, he absolutely could not do it. This was not a joke, and it was not a child's play. The stuttering young man didn't feel any pressure to use a gun to bully ignorant locals. However, he wouldn't dare to provoke people who were dealing with firearms even if he had 10 times the courage. Once they started fighting, it would be a matter of life and death. Su Yun approached the 3-story building in the dark. They drove to the back of the small building. The entire small building was closed. Every door and every window were closed. Behind each window was a thick black curtain. This kind of black opaque curtain was quite thick. No light in the room could leak out, and no light outside the room could shine in. The entire building looked pitch black, as if there was no one in sight. However, there were many cars parked on the side of the building. There were 5, 7, 9, and all kinds of cars. The brands were also from Huasia's Haver to the United States Ford, from Germany's Volkswagen to Japan's Toyota. Soo-yoon didn't count in detail. He roughly glanced at it and had a preliminary estimate in his heart. It was about 15 cars. The most exaggerated one was a Huron armored transport vehicle. It had clear lines and a rough appearance. It looked quite cold and domineering. Originally, Soo-yoon's Mercedes-Benz G65 was domineering enough. Next to this thing, it was simply child's play. This armored transport vehicle looked like a large Hummer at first glance, but it was remodeled based on a truck chassis. It was easy to seat 15 or 6 people inside. Soo-yoon soon understood that this armored transport vehicle was responsible for transporting arms. Even fireworks and firecrackers were so flammable and explosive, let alone arms. Arms were still quite dangerous, so it took a lot of effort to transport them. The B6 level bulletproof standard could at least guarantee that it could withstand the firepower of an AK-47. The bottom of the car that had been specially strengthened could withstand the explosive impact of a German-made DM-51 grenade. There were shooting holes all around the body of the car. At first glance, one could tell that it was not a big toy that ordinary people could own. This kind of armored transport vehicle, which had a certain degree of attack capability and a high level of special armor protection, could also have a high survivability in extremely dangerous situations. Africa was indeed an extremely dangerous place. However, in a place like this, most people wouldn't dare to provoke such a large armored transport vehicle. No one was a fool. Those who could own such a thing were all superpowers. Ordinary small countries could not make it at all. For example, if the famous Hindustanis were to make it, they would definitely not have the aura of this car. Of course, the Indian army probably could not only withstand the explosion, but it could also transform. Moreover, it had to have a self-destruct function. In such a situation, there would definitely be no less than 50 people inside. Soo-yoon was basically certain of this. 50 people did not sound like a lot, but it was obviously not that easy to deal with them. After all, there was an arms deal going on inside. There were arms and money. In such a situation, no one would not maintain a very tense state of mind. Therefore, at this moment, the people in the house must be very vigilant. Among the 50 people, there were no more than 3 or 5 core people. There were people from both sides, as well as the middleman. Most of them were here to protect the deal. For example, if you brought 1 million to buy guns and ammunition from a dozen people, the other side had more people and guns and ammunition. What if the other side only took the money and did not give the goods? People in the world were unpredictable. No one would absolutely trust another, even if they were old friends who had done business many times. However, every time, the Japanese would bring a large number of subordinates, at least 30 people. On the other hand, the firearms seller would not be at ease either. They would always bring along more than 10 powerful Special Forces soldiers as bodyguards. Only in this way could the business between them be carried out peacefully. No one would have any evil thoughts about the other. No one dared to have any evil thoughts. In such a situation, there was another advantage for both sides. There was no need to worry about a third party coming to cause trouble. If they wanted people, they had arms. If they wanted arms, they had arms. They were not afraid of anyone. There were 50 people. It should be known that the Towers, which was considered a good mercenary group in Africa, did not even have 100 people. Even for a mercenary group of this level, 100 people were definitely not a match for 50 people. This was especially true for the Americans who were selling the munitions. The dozen or so Americans were all burly and bulky. Their muscles were so thick that even a bullet would not be able to penetrate them. The Japanese were not bad either. However, due to the spread of dwarf genes in Japan, their size could not be compared to the Americans. However, they had a lot of people and were very well trained. They were also very obedient, so they were very clear and organized. It was definitely not easy to solve. This kind of background ensured the safety of their arms deal and ensured the interests of both sides. Su Yun looked around. There was only one door in this damn place. The door was obviously locked from the inside. Su Yun was sure that there must be someone guarding the door. If he wanted to go through the front door, he would definitely alarm the people inside. There were many people inside and they had the advantage of weapons. Su Yun would not do such a stupid thing and push himself into trouble. He thought for a moment and looked up at the roof. The roof of a 3-story building usually had a small ventilation window. If there was one, then it would be Su Yun's opportunity. Of course, this premise was based on the premise that they were not discussing things on the 3rd floor. If they were discussing things on the 3rd floor, Su Yun's appearance would definitely alert the enemy. This was completely gambling. If he did it, there was a 50% chance. If he did not do it, there was no chance at all. Su Yun did not need to think for too long. He directly climbed up the drainage pipe on the roof of the building and directly went upstairs. Everything was done quietly. At this moment in the room, a Caucasian with curly brown hair and a high nose was very arrogant as he took out weapons from a black box. From small grenades and pistols to large rocket launchers, everything was available. Behind him sat 2 Americans with similarly high noses and deep eye sockets. They were smiling and smoking cigars, not worried at all that they would detonate the grenades. Behind these 3 Americans were more than 10 burly bodyguards. Opposite them sat Japanese who were a head shorter. The Japanese's subordinates stood neatly behind them with their hands behind their backs. They were dressed in black and looked much more serious than the Americans. The leader of the Japanese was an old man in his 50s. He looked a little worse for wear. Beside him, his son was arrogant and domineering. He did not seem to care about the Americans at all. "Mr. Okamoto, I'm afraid you're going to have an eye-opener today. These are all my good stuff." This arrogant Caucasian was called Haywood. Almost everyone in Africa who came into contact with firearms knew him. He was an extremely shrewd American. "Don't talk so much nonsense. If these things really catch our eye, you won't be short of money." The young man who spoke was Taro Okamoto's son. This guy was called Nikawa Okamoto. He was not even 1.6 meters tall. Where did he get the courage to come up with such a name? Those foreigners were probably bigger than Nikawa Okamoto's arm. Taro Okamoto was also short. It must be his genes that ruined his son. He just smiled and did not say anything. Chapter 2990. MP5 Submachine Gun. Its shooting accuracy is quite high. Haywood pulled the trigger of the submachine gun in his hands. "Mr. Haywood, this is not the first time we have worked together. Let's not talk about this anymore. If I don't even recognize this, then..." "Haha." Okamoto Taro laughed. Haywood used his laughter to cover up everything. He did not feel awkward. He threw away the submachine gun that the whole world recognized and took out a sniper rifle from the weapon box. XM-109 Sniper Rifle. Barrett is the pioneer in the development of 12.7mm sniper rifles. The common 12.7mm bullets are not powerful enough. However, this newly designed and manufactured 25mm XM-109 sniper rifle has amazing power. Haywood laughed as he played with the sniper rifle in his hands. Okamoto Taro knew that Haywood liked to use these professional terms to show his expertise. "Mr. Okamoto, you may not believe it, but this is definitely a sniper rifle that has the ability to destroy light armor," Haywood said proudly. Okamoto Nikawa sneered. "This gun even exists in computer games. Haywood, you are too insincere." Okamoto Nikawa did not have the traditional Japanese courtesy of his father. He was very impatient. In his eyes, they were rich people who spent money to buy things. They had the right to criticize. Haywood ignored Okamoto Nikawa. He knew that if this guy did not rely on his father, he would not even be worth a fart. "We want the most advanced." The most advanced weapon, Okamoto Nikawa said with a glare. Haywood still did not say anything. However, of the two people sitting behind Haywood, the one with the thicker body hair, Farad, spoke up. His voice was obviously mocking. Joint Attack Fighter Jet, the world's strongest weapon and the world's most dangerous weapon. The Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarine, the first nuclear submarine designed for both ocean and coastal functions in the U.S. Navy. The hypersonic electromagnetic railgun can fight against anti-ship missiles, tactical ballistic missiles, air-to-ground missiles, and anti-radiation missiles. The Ollie Burke-class destroyer has powerful long-distance combat capabilities. And the Trident II missile. After Farad finished speaking, he snorted heavily. As long as you can afford it, we can get all of these for you. His words were so domineering that it completely overwhelmed Okamoto Nikawa. Okamoto Nikawa wanted to talk back, but he couldn't say a word. This was because the weapons and equipment that Farad mentioned were indeed advanced. However, they simply didn't have the ability to use these things. They also couldn't afford to buy these things. The Trident II series missiles, including the Dongfeng 31A, Tsunami II, Topal M, Bulava, and so on, were all priced around $40 million US. Even the Trident I from a few decades ago cost $5 to $6 million USD each. Who could afford to play this game? Not to mention Okamoto Nikawa, who was just a second-generation fighter in Japan. Even the most powerful second-generation fighter in Japan wouldn't be able to afford it. At most, Sanpang could only shoot out cheap goods, like the old antique scooter or Dapudong No. 1 or No. 2. Of course, Sanpang didn't dare to recklessly use Dapudong. After all, due to GPS guidance, positioning devices, and a series of other problems, Dapudong missiles couldn't be controlled or predicted after they were launched. Therefore, every launch would cause tension in the surrounding countries. It would be better to change the name of this thing to Sky Drilling Monkey Missile. Let's talk about the things that we can really trade. Okamoto Taro smiled, still looking calm. Okay. Haywood also smiled. Then I'll show some sincerity, lest Mr. Okamoto say that I'm selling you trash. Okamoto Taro didn't trust Haywood so much. It was obvious that the Americans were really dishonest. Looking at the weapons and ammunition everywhere in Africa, many of them were leftover, second-hand goods after the Americans started the war. It was obviously too wasteful to take these things away. To put it bluntly, they couldn't cover the cost of shipping. They didn't even cover the cost of shipping. Therefore, the Americans especially liked to find people who needed weapons to deal with their second-hand goods. This way, they could make money and save themselves the trouble. Okamoto Taro obviously didn't like second-hand goods, so he had always been very wary of the Americans selling them to him. In addition, he was also a self-righteous, military fanatic. He liked to equip his team with advanced equipment. Previously, he arranged for his men to deal with the human trafficking business to be equipped with high-end weapons like the Swiss dagger. However, his men had all failed. Therefore, he now felt that he needed better weapons. Only with better weapons would the Japanese not look so small and insignificant. It would make them look more imposing and powerful. FNF 2000 CAF Assault Rifle. It uses a short-stroke piston transmission system that can adjust the gas flow rate. It fires 5.56 by 45 NATO ammunition, corresponding to the Stanag magazine. Haywood smiled and took out a FNF 2000. This assault rifle made by a Belgian company was indeed good stuff. It can be equipped with a 40mm grenade launcher. The scope is an optical sight with a 1.6x scope. Even in dark weather, the target's image is very clear. After Haywood finished speaking, he directly threw the gun to Okamoto Nikawa. Okamoto Nikawa picked it up and didn't say anything else. He knew that he couldn't win against these Americans. This was what Okamoto Taro wanted. If it could fire grenades, it would be easier to deal with the Huaxia people. Without waiting for Okamoto Nikawa to finish looking, Okamoto Taro took the gun from his son's hands. He mainly looked at the grenade launcher. Seeing that Okamoto Nikawa was interested, Haywood immediately found another treasure in the weapon box. "Mr. Okamoto, I think you will be more interested in this," Haywood said as he handed the XM307 automatic grenade launcher in his hands to Okamoto Taro. Okamoto Taro gave the FNF-2000 that he hadn't studied yet to his son. He took the XM307 automatic grenade launcher that Haywood gave him. The XM307 automatic grenade launcher is lighter than other automatic grenade launchers. The portability of the design is that it can be carried by 2 people and can be easily installed in a vehicle, Haywood said proudly. This thing was powerful. It can kill enemies within a range of 2,000 meters. It can also destroy light armored vehicles within a range of 1,000 meters. Of course, it can also destroy ships and helicopters. Haywood continued, "The maximum range of the 25 by 59 mm high explosive grenade is 3,600 meters. Okamoto Taro was stunned. Wasn't the development of this automatic grenade launcher cancelled 10 years ago? There are some things that you might not necessarily hear the truth. However, if you see it with your own eyes, it must be true." Haywood smiled. "The thing is right in front of you. Do you still not believe me? With this thing, would he still need to worry about the Huaxia people? There was no need to worry at all." Okamoto Taro felt excited. "As for the Swiss short sword that you like, I have also brought it with me," Haywood said. "At any rate, we are old friends. This isn't the first time we have worked together. I won't cheat you." Okamoto Taro asked coolly, "You have the ammunition, right?" "Yes." "It is definitely enough for you to use for a month," Haywood said. "If you think it is not enough, I can get it for you within a week. How about it, Mr. Okamoto? Am I sincere enough?" Chapter 2991. Okamoto Taro seemed to be very satisfied with the XM307 automatic grenade launcher in the military supply this time. Every time he thought of Lai Wen, he couldn't wait to use this lethal weapon to blow Lai Wen into smithereens. Back in Mali, Okamoto Taro was Lai Wen's biggest competitor, but in the end, the gold mining rights still fell into Lai Wen's hands. This was also Okamoto Taro's fault for being overly confident. He thought that the Japanese had the support of the American Empire and that their status were higher than that of the Huaxia. It was a pity that in the eyes of every country and place in the world, the Japanese were bastards. Back then, the other countries of the Japanese were thinking of ways to slowly whitewash themselves, but the Japanese didn't do this well at all. Every day, they had a dog can't change its habit of eating *T look. Even their godfather, the American Empire, was worried that this dog might one day grow wings and eat *T again. Although Italy was the birthplace of the Japanese, no one blamed Italy because they existed like a pig-like teammate. Their existence sped up the Japanese's demise. Although Germany was the most powerful country at that time and took the most heads, they took the initiative to admit their mistakes and took responsibility for the mistakes caused by them. They promised that they would change in the future. No matter what, they eventually apologized to the other European countries and compensated them. Therefore, they were slowly forgiven by the other European countries that were invaded. Time would change everything. If someone beat you up, apologized sincerely to you, visited you in the hospital, and treated you with respect and sincerity, anyone would be forgiven. After all, it wasn't terrible to make mistakes. What was terrible was not to change. It just so happened that the Japanese knew their mistakes and didn't change. They didn't even give the most basic formal apology, let alone compensation. What was even more unforgivable was that this group of idiots still worshipped those heinous war criminals as if they were their ancestors. Even the Prime Minister led the idiots in worshipping them. The whole world also knew that the Japanese were shameless. They didn't even acknowledge the agreement they signed after their defeat and surrender. They even shamelessly said that Turtle Island was left to them by their ancestors. *CKU. They vigorously developed their military and used all kinds of excuses to form an army in name. Who would dare to believe that they would not suddenly want to invade such a country? With such a dog, who could guarantee that they would not suddenly go crazy and eat shit? Even Japan's America didn't dare to trust them easily, so other countries didn't like to deal with the Japanese. Speaking of which, other than selling cars and cameras, the Japanese have no other advantages. Okamoto Taro was getting on in years. He needed someone to replace him. Thus, he had to support his son. One day, Okamoto Taro would no longer come to a place as bad as Africa. One day, Okamoto Taro would retire. By then, if Okamoto Nikawa was still unable to gain a foothold, then his life would be ruined. The world that Okamoto Taro had painstakingly conquered in Africa would become a tool for others to profit from. When he thought of that, Okamoto Taro felt somewhat displeased. "Mr. Okamoto, it seems you have a deep grudge against someone," Haywood smiled and said. "I wonder who offended you?" Okamoto Taro did not say anything. Okamoto Nikawa harumphed and said, "It's just a bunch of low-class Hua-Xia people. Damn it, how dare they sneak attack us?" Haywood was stunned. He knew that Hua-Xia and Japanese had always been on bad terms. Even between countries, they were not on good terms. As for why, Haywood did not need to ask to know. Who did not know about the history of Hua-Xia? "Father, you don't have to think so much. Give me men and firearms. I will definitely kill them all." Okamoto Nikawa gritted his teeth and said. Haywood shook his head and said, "It's good for young people to have such confidence. However, Hua-Xia people are not so easy to deal with." "What's not easy to deal with?" Okamoto Nikawa said. "They're just a bunch of sick men from East Asia." "So what if they're sick men from East Asia? Didn't you all lose to Hua-Xia back then?" Haywood's words were like a bayonet that directly pierced into the hearts of the Okamoto father and son. A defeated country. It was because of Hua-Xia that the Japanese were forever labeled as a defeated country. Of course, during the Pacific War, the Americans also dealt them many fatal blows. However, the Japanese did not dare to say anything to the Americans now. All their resentment was vented on Hua-Xia. They felt that it was because of Hua-Xia that they were so miserable. If Hua-Xia had failed back then, wouldn't they? Just thinking about it made the Okamoto father and son yearn for it. Chapter 2992. Haywood, just do your firearms business. Why do you have to talk so much nonsense? Okamoto Nikawa said, "We know what happened back then. We don't need you to remind us of the shame of our Yamato people." In Haywood's eyes, Okamoto Nikawa was a piece of trash that wasn't worth mentioning. Hence, he didn't take him seriously at all. "Looks like your Yamato democracy is still so proud." Haywood said, "Forget it. That's your disgraceful past. Let's not talk about it." Okamoto Nikawa really wanted to tell Haywood that if the American Empire didn't make Japan so miserable in the Pacific War, they might still have a chance. "It's all in the past. Why bring it up again?" Okamoto Taro said calmly, "Japan and the American Empire are allies now. Why should we fight?" Haywood smiled. "Yes, we are allies." However, Haywood didn't think so. He thought it was ridiculous. Allies? Did the Japanese deserve to be allies? To the American Empire, Japan was a dog. A dog that restrained Asia, a dog that could stop Hua-Xia's development, a dog that could threaten other Asian countries. The American Empire's troops in Japan were enough to prove that Japan was a dog. They didn't dare to go against the American Empire at all. That was because the Japanese were very smart. They knew that once they lost the support of the American Empire, Hua-Xia would be angry and really dare to blow up their islands. It didn't matter if the American Empire lost Japan. They could still support other countries to fight against Hua-Xia and restrict Hua-Xia. There was still Korea. Moreover, there was still the hot-headed Japanese. However, the American Empire also knew that they couldn't support people like Japanese. If this guy turned around and didn't recognize them, it would be difficult to deal with him. It wasn't wrong to say that Sanpang was heartless. This guy was even more pretentious than his father. Not to mention that Hua-Xia had always been good to the Kim family. They thought that they could be stable little brothers and help restrain the Japanese who were eyeing them covetously. After all, with Sanpang's brain, he would play with skyscraping monkeys whenever he got angry. He wasn't someone that ordinary people would want to provoke. In the past, they were printing fake US dollars, but in the end, the United States directly imposed economic sanctions on them. Fine, I won't play with them anymore. Now, Sonpong's brain started to churn. There was still a neighboring country that he could scam. A wave of North Korean Hwa Xia coins was printed. The technology was high, the color, feel, sound, watermark, and braille were all the same as real coins. It could be said that the texture was clear, with a strong sense of concavity and astringency. Most commercial money detectors would be able to pass it, and it would be impossible to identify it with the naked eye. Even money detectors in consumer establishments could not do it, let alone humans. This guy really knows how to scam his father. No, he's scamming his grandfather. Now, not only were they smuggling drugs, they even dared to manufacture Hwa Xia's currency. Everyone knew that Sanpang's father had encouraged a larger scale of gold mining at that time. However, due to the lack of normal trade channels and the need to maximize profits, gold smuggling became the Kim family's only choice. Physical smuggling was time-consuming and laborious. It wasn't an easy business to make money quickly, and it was a headache for the Kim family. However, Sanpang's father had a solution in his heart. In the 90s, he started to print fake US dollars. The technology was very sophisticated, especially in a factory called the Pyongyang Trademark Printing Factory. However, since he was a goddamn brother of Hwa Xia, he had to swallow his tears. Look at Sanpang. Private jet, Mercedes-Benz car, high-end yacht. What kind of rich second-generation heir was he? No, he was a second-generation heir. It was simply, Haywood had already started to calculate the cost. He directly calculated the cost of all the weapons he brought with him to Okamoto Taro. When the calculator was passed to Okamoto Taro frowned slightly. There were things that he needed, but there were also things that he didn't like. For example, the MP5, which could be found everywhere. Mr. Haywood, you're being a little unkind. Okamoto Taro smiled. You're giving me a discount even though I don't need all these things? Old friend, I don't need to bring these things back, right? Haywood smiled slightly. He knew how to mock it. This kind of packaging was the best way to do it. It was just like some shops on the internet. Buying clothes and giving away pants was actually just adding up the price. Haywood also used this method. This way he could sell more. After all, he was a businessman. He couldn't just buy things that were easy to sell. He didn't sell things that weren't easy to sell. This was a shrewd method. But I really don't need it. Okamoto Taro didn't seem to want to fall for his trick. Haywood's expression turned ugly. Mr. Okamoto, you should know that the launcher you want, other than me, you won't be able to find another supplier, right? Okamoto Taro heard Haywood's threat. So, Mr. Haywood, you don't want to sell it to me? Okamoto Taro looked a little unhappy. Stop pretending. There are plenty of arms dealers in the African continent. Okamoto Nikawa glared at him. If you can't do it, just take it away. Haywood waved his hand and said to his subordinates, let's prepare to pack up and leave. In the future, this trading point will be cancelled. Wait a minute. Okamoto Taro wasn't as stupid and impulsive as his son. He knew that Haywood wasn't lying. What they could get, others might not be able to. Okamoto Nikawa was somewhat puzzled. However, Okamoto Taro didn't have time to explain to his son. His thoughts were all on this batch of arms. We should all calm down, Okamoto Taro said. Mr. Haywood, after all, we've worked together for a long time. You know what kind of person I am. I value integrity. I'm also someone who won't do wrong. Haywood nodded. That's why I brought the good stuff to Mr. Okamoto. It's just that you went a little overboard today, Okamoto Taro said. Our business has always been fair. We don't force people to buy or sell. Haywood smiled. Mr. Okamoto, you must be joking. I didn't force you to buy it. If you don't want it, I won't force you. There are many people who want to buy it. I just don't want to go through the trouble of finding other buyers for things like MP5S. Okamoto Taro was very unhappy. He knew that he couldn't reject Haywood. However, he felt that there were some things that needed to be said. If he didn't say it, Haywood would definitely treat him the same way. On the surface, it wasn't a forced sale. However, in reality, it was a forced sale. It went against the principle of sincerity in business. I can buy everything you have, Okamoto Taro said. As for the money, I won't pay you less. I can give it to you immediately. When Haywood heard this, the smile on his face became more relaxed and sincere. Ha ha ha, Mr. Okamoto, you really know how to joke, Haywood said. I've already given you a discount. Okamoto Taro's objective was not to bargain. Mr. Haywood, I hope that there won't be a second transaction like this between us. Haywood's smile froze for a moment. The next time we work together, I only want what I need. Okamoto Taro said, if Mr. Haywood feels that it's not suitable, then this transaction will be the last time. Haywood's smile had already disappeared. Speaking of which, Okamoto could be considered a big customer. Mr. Okamoto, I understand what you mean. Haywood stopped smiling and nodded. I'll listen to you. Only then did Okamoto Taro stop talking. He got his subordinates to start inspecting the goods. 20 to 30 large boxes of firearms and ammunition. This was not a small number. I wish Mr. Okamoto success in dealing with those Hua-Xia people in advance. Haywood said with a smile. All he needed to do now was wait for Okamoto Taro to transfer the money to him. Chapter 2993. Don't even think about it, right? Su Yun's voice came from the stairs not far away. We Hua-Xia people are not so easy to provoke. In fact, Su Yun had already entered the room. Although a window on the third floor was closed, it was not locked. Su Yun entered easily. As soon as he came in, he heard them talking on the second floor. He carefully sat on the stairs and listened. Whether it was the Americans or the Japanese, their words made Su Yun feel annoyed. But his curiosity made Su Yun continue to listen. In the end, he could not stand it anymore. Brother, can you do it? Even if you really get him a Joint Strike Fighter, a Virginia-class nuclear-powered attack submarine, a hypersonic electromagnetic railgun, an Ollie Burke-class destroyer, and the Trident II missile that you bragged you could get. Su Yun said while keeping an eye on the people who were all prepared for battle. It's useless because the Japanese are too weak. They can't beat us with anything. At first, Su Yun wanted to launch a surprise attack. But when he heard them call him the sick man of Asia, he was a little angry. He did not believe it. Even if it was him, he wanted to play with this group of bastards and see who could win. Damn Hua-Xia people. Okamoto Nikawa stood up angrily. Su Yun stared and did not back down. Stupid little dwarf. The Americans were also prepared for battle. But they were businessmen and did not want to participate in this kind of thing. Moreover, Su Yun's appearance did surprise them. No one noticed his appearance. If he was a threat to the Americans, as long as he had a weapon in his hand when he was eavesdropping on them from the stairs, he could have killed the Americans. After all, the stairs were right behind the Americans. They had no chance at all. From the looks of it, this was their business and had nothing to do with the arms dealers. Mr. Okamoto, if you have any issues, I hope you can settle them privately, Haywood said. It doesn't seem very convenient for us to be here. Seeing that Su Yun was alone, Okamoto Nikawa was not afraid at all. If you want to run, then run. We don't need your help. This isn't a matter of running or not. It's a matter of our principles, Haywood said. We are merchants. Su Yun cursed in his heart. You Americans are so smart. You are businessmen, but you can watch. It's better if you don't leave. Su Yun smiled. Help me be the judge and see who is the sick man of East Asia. Only the Japanese could be so thick-skinned to call him the sick man of East Asia. The Americans didn't dare to say anything because they had seen how powerful the Hua-Xia people were. For example, the kung fu legend Xiao Long, who was also known as Bruce Lee by the Americans. There were also those kung fu superstars who could do well in Hollywood. Any one of them could easily take down a dozen or 20 people. How could they be called the sick man of East Asia? The Americans didn't know where the Japanese got the courage to say such things. They were simply asking for humiliation. The Japanese's physical fitness and numbers were far inferior to the Hua-Xia people. Their height was even worse. If there had to be a sick man in East Asia, it would probably be the Japanese. The people from Sonpong's country were different. They were the most powerful country in the universe. They definitely didn't have any sick men. Cough. Sonpong's body shape probably had fatty liver. It was normal for him to have high blood pressure. He also ate well on a daily basis. He would have diabetes sooner or later. He was a patient, not a sick man. Just you? Okamoto Nikawa might not be tall, but Okamoto Taro had taught him karate since he was young. Okamoto Nikawa was usually so arrogant because he was a karate expert. Okamoto Nikawa immediately accepted Su Yun's challenge and showed a stance. Su Yun looked. Oh, you know a thing or two. Karate? Not bad. Let me see how you want to act. Haywood had already determined that Su Yun didn't have any weapons of mass destruction in his hands. His men also quickly put on their thermal vision glasses and confirmed that this Hua-Xia person didn't have any accomplices or helpers. He had mysteriously appeared in the room by himself. Hence, Haywood still wanted to watch the show. To be honest, he really felt that the Japanese would win. After all, they had the advantage in numbers and weapons in their hands. Although this Hua-Xia youth's courage was commendable and his abilities were definitely not ordinary, it was impossible for him to get out alive. Mr. Haywood, can you be the referee? Su Yun smiled and walked down the stairs. Haywood also liked to watch the show. Then I'll accept your offer. As soon as Su Yun came down the stairs, Okamoto Nikawa couldn't wait to shout and pounced on Su Yun. This karate was actually evolved from Japan's blind fists and kicks combined with Tongsho. Tongsho was brought to Ryukyu by Hua-Xia's martial arts and was formed by combining the local martial arts. Hence, this karate was also thanks to Hua-Xia's charity. Karate's attack power was still very strong. There were many ways to attack, such as kicking, hitting, throwing, locking, twisting, and so on. Okamoto Nikawa kicked directly. Su Yun casually dodged to the side. Without waiting for Okamoto Nikawa's kick to miss, Su Yun ruthlessly slapped Okamoto Nikawa's cheek. This slap was loud and clear. It resounded through the heavens. Okamoto Nikawa had never been slapped since he was young. His face instantly swelled up. As a matter of fact, even if Su Yun held back his strength, Okamoto Nikawa still couldn't take it. Su Yun held back his strength because he hoped that this little Japanese could fight with him for a while. To put it bluntly, he just wanted to hit him a few more times. If Su Yun used his full strength, this slap would probably break Okamoto Nikawa's head. I'm going to kill you. Okamoto Nikawa felt that he was humiliated. He directly wanted to lock Su Yun's shoulders with his hands. However, how could Su Yun give him a chance? His feet moved subtly and he directly dodged Okamoto's pounce. Of course, dodging wasn't the end. Su Yun also kicked Okamoto Nikawa's lower back. Okamoto Nikawa directly lay on the box of firearms. His teeth were broken and his mouth was full of blood. With just you. Su Yun put his hands behind his back. I'll give you a handicap of 2 hands. You don't even deserve to carry my shoes. Okamoto Nikawa couldn't accept this kind of humiliation. Moreover, the opponent was just a Hua-Xia person. Okamoto Nikawa, who was humiliated into anger, had completely lost his mind. He pounced on Su Yun like a madman. Su Yun didn't waste time with him. He raised his right foot toward Okamoto Nikawa. When Okamoto Nikawa's big face pounced on him, Su-yun also kicked out his foot and directly kicked Okamoto Nikawa's face. This was what Okamoto Taro didn't want to see the most. It was fine if his son couldn't win, but he had to know his own limits. If this continued, he would only be humiliated. Moreover, Okamoto Taro also saw that the opponent could obviously make his son unable to get up in one move, but he didn't have that intention. He just wanted to fool Okamoto Nikawa in front of the Americans. He wanted to let the Americans see who was the sick man of East Asia. It was the Japanese, not the Hua-Xia people. He wanted to let them all know that Hua-Xia people were not to be trifled with. Don't ever mess with a Hua-Xia person. Otherwise, this would be the outcome. Just when Okamoto Nikawa didn't intend to stop, Okamoto Taro couldn't take it anymore. He gave his men a look. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.